Hi, everyone, and welcome to Solutions in Action. As Kevin said, my name is Sherry Budziak, and I am the co-founder of .org Community along with my partner, Kevin. So let's now begin to meet our partners who have solutions that help you put your best voice and best content forward on every platform. So we're going to start off with our first guest is Doug Combs. He's the Director of Client Solutions at Association TV. Doug is going to guide us through creating a purposeful, predictable, and profitable video strategy. So welcome, Doug. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks, Sherry. Thanks, Kevin. Thanks, Dawn Marie, for the wonderful setup. Well, I'm getting the screen up. Kev, was that your band playing in that opening video, or?
No, it wasn't. But I was jamming to the tune.
Yeah, it's groovy. Okay, sweet. Well, can you see my screen right now, Kev?
I cannot.
Let me make sure. Boom. How's that?
Oh, looking good. Thanks, Doug.
Great, thanks. And thanks everybody at .org. It's always a treat working with you, and thank you for having me open today's. When I was reading the description and speaking with Dawn Marie, it was really about creating that online magnet, your website. You want to bring people to your website. So I thought I'd focus on the purposeful, predictable, and profitable journey from that new member or someone who's maybe thinking about members. How do we bring them to your ecosystem? And there's lots of great partners that can talk about how to keep them there, including us. But that's my focus for today, is that early member journey. So strap in, everybody. So here's Doug. You may have saw the video, and spoiler alert, I do like beer. So that's Doug the dude. I also sold wine for a couple of years in Australia. So come by that honestly. I am, the professional in me though, I am a certified digital marketing professional, and I've got a lot of experience being a member and a sponsor and someone with associations. I also got my certified digital marketing professional designation through an association as well. So I've been involved with them a lot. And right now I'm a member of the AHA, the American Home Brewing Association. So maybe I can bring some of those to Chicago in June for us to share. Anyway, so Worker Bee TV is the name of our company. Association TV is the name of trademark services that are designed to help the association community and space. And it's about 95% of our business are American associations. So it does get confusing sometimes that it's just a trademark under Worker Bee TV. It consists of 4 key components that I'm just going to go really quickly through. So I got a lot of stuff about creating that online magnet to your website. So our online platform is designed to keep people on your website, bring them to your website so they can engage and see what wonderful content you have, video, audio, or articles. We've got a great creative services team to help you with your content strategy, which includes monetizing content in any way, shape, or form. And we're here to complement your association's team, fill in gaps where needed throughout the year, but also ramp up when you're coming up to something major like a huge event. So today's learning objectives are how video aligns with that new member's journey and the 4 steps to using video strategically. So get right into it. Part of the strategy for that new member journey is focused on micro learning. So what is micro learning? It's highly focused content, that bite-sized. It could be text, video, visual, audio, or even games now. Not always associated with micro credentialing. That's a whole other presentation on itself. But yeah, I see someone raise their hand. Oh, and it is down. So how does video align with your member journey? So there's always that awareness stage. How do you bring people? How do you create that magnet, that force that brings someone to your site? This is where we like to use marketing videos. So less than 30 seconds. It can be cut from long form content. So it could be a webinar you had that had crazy engagement, and you can do little snippets of that. So 30-second marketing videos, inbound video marketing strategy to bring people from social to your website where they're going to learn now. Now it's micro learning. So these are less than 3 minutes, or around 3-minute max, depending on engagement scores, of course. Use the data, which I know Greg's here. He's going to talk about how to leverage data later. And so leverage the data, watch the engagement scores, and measure the success of your micro learning on what did they do next. How much of the video did they watch, and what did they do next? So these are just bullet points. What will you learn as you continue to engage with our content? From there, you want to show that membership has its benefits. So you can have gated content. So it's not member only, but gated. How many forms are getting filled out? How many new members came from that marketing video or that marketing campaign? I'm not here to say video is the end all be all, but it's certainly important in that strategy of creating that magnet. How many new members came from it? What are the engagement scores for the videos behind, or the articles or anything like that behind that form? So now you've got their email and you can nurture them to become a member. From there, now they're a member. So congrats, you've got a new member. Now what do you do? So you want to see what they're engaging with. You want to look at the data. What are they clicking on? And use the data to forecast content that is going to be member centric. That exclusive content for members only, you measure that by engagement patterns. Is it influencing the retention and revenue through surveys? How many people know these videos? So on and so forth. So just super quick. I always like to show a video since we are. Vision for this, and it was just awesome to come together full circle. Now here we are again. So that was to promote an event. Obviously it had clear objectives aligned with it and a message catered to their audience. So the 4 steps to using video strategically: the first is to lower the cost of your content. Common things of why people don't produce high quality videos is they perceive it to be super hard to do, a resource heavy thing to do, expensive, and will it work, right? They're not properly monetizing it in more ways than one. There's a bajillion ways to monetize content. And anyway, we'll get into that later. A great way to lower the cost of content is to film at your events, but go into it with a real solid plan. Our team are experts at planning in there. We just came back from Atlanta. It was the second event that we'd filmed this year for a client. We've got enough video we got over 20 sponsored videos, over 24 micro learning videos, enough content for 6 episodes of a documentary series we're doing specific with that client that's featuring some of their sponsors and their thought leaders and speakers. So all of that was captured from 2 events. Not everyone can do that. And actually, spoiler, the best part of that is we'd monetized enough content to cover our film crew and a whole bunch of those editing costs as well. The sponsors want to be shown to your members as thought leaders, and video is a really effective way to do that. In between events, we have something called Virtual Videographer. It's a job title and a service that we have where we can capture content anywhere in the world in 4K with high quality audio from the comfort of our home in Winnipeg, Manitoba. This one here is just for later. You guys can watch that in my shared slides. Another way to lower the cost is to create templates. So templates are huge, and it creates consistent branding. So there's Doug the Pug, and you know that because my name's down there, and it's important to have your brand always on it. So if it's on social media or if you're using it on YouTube to bring people to your website, they know that your association is the source of this excellent content. This is another video. I encourage you to click it later. I'm probably pressed for time because I'm long-winded. So I encourage you to download the slides when we share them out after and watch this. It's an example of what we put together as a branded package. Oh, was there a hand raised? Anyway. So here's a checklist again for when you download the slides to show you what's important in a branded checklist. The most important thing would be, what do you want them to do at the end of your video? Do you want them to click to engage with more content? Do you want them to register for an event? Use in-video call to actions to do that. So use video to help grow your non-dues revenue. Start by bundling with what's successful now. We don't want to come in and just show video as something, and then we just take the water bottle sponsor, now they're sponsoring video. So bundle it with your year-round media kit, your event prospectuses, everything and anything. It's really risk-free, because if they don't sponsor it, then it doesn't get produced. So that's one thing we like to do right away is get that bundling. Sponsored content. So you can produce exclusive content with your sponsors, or they can supply you content, and then you can host it on your website. So it's authenticating them as a thought leader in your industry while they're educating their members through really well-produced micro-learning videos. An exercise we like to work on with clients is, what are the most engaged topics? What is your data warehouse telling you about the content that your members love? Maybe it's being an awesome boss. Who are you going to call for that? Michael Scott, for sure. So align the topics with experts and then approach them, asking them, do you think you can speak about being an awesome sports agent, Mr. McGuire? Cadence is key. Creating videos without a strategy is sporadic. So think of things that you comment or that you're updating your members on all the time. And then this is an industry or an example of the CEO who's doing Lindustry and industry updates. And you can see that all of the related videos are down here. That cadence of doing those videos regularly gets the traffic, and then the traffic is what the sponsors want. So it's an easier value proposition for your sponsors to get their videos in front of your members when the traffic's already there. We have a sponsor spotlight example that I'd love to share with you all today, but I'm looking at the time and I'm just going to keep going, and I encourage you to check those videos out. Make your website the hub for engagement. You want to use social media to bring people to your site. When I'm on YouTube, it's recommending Will Ferrell and Will Forte comedy to me. It's not recommending things to my association. Bring them to your site where they can bump into related content by topic, by speaker, just like what .org Community does with their video platform. Control the entire brand experience. Take out the guesswork. Watch your videos and think about, if I was a member watching this video, what else would I be interested in? Suggest it at the end. You don't need our platform to do this. We can embed any video that we've helped you produce on your website using our own, just by providing embed codes, and then you can have call to action buttons right in there. A new member won't know the amount of great content you have as well as you do, and as well as other members do. So use that data to suggest other related videos. So if they're watching something about our docu-series called Jobs Tomorrow, which is showcasing associations and the difference they make in the world, we're going to surround that by anything related to that content, so that they're constantly seeing everything they can learn about that video, and they're bumping into that related content easily. So it's already there for them to just stay on your website, keeping that magnet sticky. Now, there's a lot of experts here today that could speak on this more than we can, but you've got to use your data to continually improve your content. So even the lengths of the video, the data is going to tell you how long it needs to be, but also what types of videos, what content are they watching that you can do more of? What books are people buying that maybe you can do a video on? So you want to use that data to always help you continually improve. Every time you produce a video, you want to begin with the end in the mind. What do you want that prospective member or champion member to do once they've watched that video? Is there an ROI? Sometimes it's, we need to get 6 registrations and that's going to pay for the video. Anything after that, it's gravy. But sometimes it's an explainer video, which is going to save your staff time on something. So maybe there's a new platform that you're launching for your members and you want to educate them on how to do it. You can measure that ROI on time saved, on support calls, and so on and so forth, because videos are very effective at educating an audience. Think of a secondary audience. Who's the main audience and who's the secondary audience? Can this video serve both of them? And what do we want them to do when they're done? So you can always do that too. When we produce these types of videos, we call them the 3P video. It's a special video offer that we have. It includes the remote filming, editing, and then we'll provide an embed code as well as MP4, and then a 90-day review meeting. So at the beginning of the video, we're going to ask you, how are you measuring the success? And how can we improve upon that for next time? So really important to come back to it and measure it against its original objective. So I hope I'm good for time. I know I've gone faster than I normally do, but if you use video strategically, it will help your association be profitable, purposeful, and predictable. Thanks, everybody. Scan and connect with me on LinkedIn there. And Kevin's band's good. Check them out too.
Hey, Doug. Hey, thank you so much. I've seen your presentations obviously before, and every time you guys present, I learn something new. So it's always great to see you guys advance all the time with your solution. And so for our audience, if you want to ask Doug a question, go ahead and use the Q&A. And as you're doing that, one of the questions that I have here, Doug, is, how much does a typical video cost? I know some of us may have some stigma attached to it that it's extremely expensive because you got all this high-end equipment and people, and you got to rent studios and green screens. So can you touch on that for a little bit?
For sure. And the help with that too, this is an ebook that everyone can share. It goes through everyone involved in creating a video. And to create something like a 2 to 3 minute video filmed in 4K with nice editing and clear call to action banners embedded on your website, I mean, it can be anywhere from like as low as $2,000, but the average would be about $3,000 from beginning to end, including that 90-day review period. And yeah, so generally speaking, about 3,000. And of course, if we're capturing 40 videos at an event, there's some efficiencies of scale there. So, but around 3,000.
Okay, great. And
thanks.
We have a question from Nicole M. So how long does it take to create a video marketing strategy? And in how much time can you measure the results?
Thanks, Nicole. That's a really great question. And the amount of variables involved with it are pretty exponential. So if you're starting from scratch, and depending on, always got to consider your client's capacity. And you're dealing with probably someone in the C-suite, chief marketing, chief operating, chief financial, where they've got that interdepartmental viewpoint and they'll know their team's capacity. But generally speaking, to beginning to end, well, it's a continuation thing, but to get some real meat on the bone and get something going, 90 days. That's probably a safe bet to define some key objectives early, because you don't want to get in analysis paralysis where you're overthinking about everything. You got to ask your community, you got to get them involved. Think about every department and all of their combined goals, and then get something rolling right away, because without the data after that 90 days, it's not guesswork, obviously, but 90 days to get it going. And then you continually improve upon that through constant measuring and improving on your videos and overall content strategy, because video is a great way to start as a pillar, but then from there you can go audio, you can go article, you can do anything and cut it all up so that people can see it where they are. Hope that answers your question, Nicole.
Great, that's great, Doug. Thank you. Okay, we're going to move on to our next guest speaker. But if you still have questions for Doug, please go ahead and submit them in the chat here. We'll get to them. But now I'd like to welcome Jake Toohey, Senior Digital Consultant with Adage Technologies, and Jake Compton, Partner and Sales Manager, and Haito Daniel Hansen, Cloud Counselor for Embarco. And they will be introducing us to Embarco, the open source .NET content management system. So welcome, Jake.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Sherry. Jake Compton, you want to share? Make sure that everybody can see you. Just give me a second there. Daniels, there we go. Delta's got it. All right, well, we want to start by thanking Sherry and Kevin and Dawn Marie for having us today and putting on this great event again. I think we can move to the next slide, but for those who I have not met, my name is Jake Toohey. I'm a senior digital consultant with Adage Technologies, where I have been working with our association clients, helping with digital strategy, branding, UI, UX design, and building CMS and e-commerce sites for the past 10 years. I want to point out that we do have this site assessment offer, and I'll drop a link in the chat here for anybody that is interested in checking that out. But I will now turn it over to our partners from Embarco and let them introduce themselves.
Thank you, Jake. And I'm also Jake. I'm the U.S. Partner Manager with Umbraco. I'll let my colleague Yalta introduce himself as well.
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Yalta. I'm a product specialist with Umbraco or a cloud counsel, as you.
So I was going to point out that just a quick intro to Umbraco. At Adage, we've worked with over 10 content management systems over the past 15 years or so, and we've stuck with Umbraco and Optimizely as the only ones that we offer today. And we want to introduce Umbraco to this audience because we feel that it's a perfect size fit CMS for any organization that's considering something like WordPress, Sitefinity, Drupal, or Kentico. So we have been an Umbraco Gold partner for several years, and they have been a key to our success in helping our clients. So with that, I will now turn it over to our partners to show you a little bit about the platform.
Thank you again, Jake, and hello, everyone. As you picked up on, Umbraco is a content management system. We're actually the largest open source .NET content management system. So we have over 1 million sites across the world. And one of the beauties of Umbraco is the flexibility, but also the scalability of it that you'll notice. It's one of the first things that you will notice, and it can scale from the smallest of brochure sites up to the largest projects really you can find, which you can see in some of those brands over here in the right column. Now with that global reach that we have, we've had to make sure that we have the infrastructure in place to be able to support those that are building on Umbraco and those that are using the product. So we've done exactly that. We have offices located in Denmark, where of course our headquarters are, but we also have a US headquarters as well in Charlotte, North Carolina. And then we have sales and technical support scattered throughout, which covers the entire globe. Now, not only do we have the commercial backing, but one of the beauties of being an open source product is that we have a phenomenal community behind us. That community consists of over 220,000 contributing developers and craftspeople who are continuously making sure that the technology is continuously growing, but also that the community is fully involved and very, very vibrant. Now, I spoke a bit about the content management system, which Yalta is going to go into here in a second, but really above and beyond that, we have 3 core products that we do offer. Now, Umbraco, the CMS, is the heart of our tech stack, but we've elaborated on that a little bit. We also offer Umbraco Cloud, which gives you the CMS and everything that you love from it, but just extends on that flexibility and also adds some time-saving features as well. Beyond that, we've also added Umbraco Hardcore, which is our headless offering. And what that allows you to do is really reach a larger clientele. Places that you may not have traditionally thought of, but it allows you to do that, and all 3 are phenomenal products. Now, enough with me speaking. I'm going to pass it over to Yalta so you can actually see how the product itself works.
Brilliant. Yeah, because now is demo time. And I think that a good way to show you around and show you the capabilities of Umbraco is to actually show you the product. Umbraco, as Jake said, is a content management system, and the power of Umbraco is that everything is customizable, everything can be made so that it fits your need exactly. So what I'm quickly going to do during this short presentation is that I'm going to show you how I can build a landing page in Umbraco using some predefined widgets that I've created for my website to use. So what you see here on my screen right now is the Umbraco back office. It's the administrative interface of Umbraco, where you can go in and edit your content once your website is live running Umbraco. What I'm going to do, I'm going to click this widgets area that you can see is currently empty, and I'm going to go ahead and add one of the widgets. I've predefined 2 widgets for the sake of this demo, and the one I'm going to use is the one called Hero. Once I'm in here, I can give my hero a headline. I'm going to go in and say solutions in action demonstration. I can even put in a description. For that, I'm going to do some lorem ipsum text here, just for the sake of this demo. I'm going to add a call to action, which I've also put in there. To make sure that we generate some content that can generate some more clicks on our site. I'm going to say check content out as the title, and there you have it. I can also configure some settings for my widgets, and I'm going to go ahead and say I want a background image, and I can quite quickly find that background image in here. I think this this image here will do for this. I'm going to go ahead and create that and go ahead and save. And once I've saved, you can see that actually here in my back office interface, I see the changes I just made. And I can even add further content. I'm going to make use of the second widget I've created, which is the articles one, and I can select some content to be shown on my website. And I have a quite extensive blog that I'm gonna show a couple of blog articles on my page. I'm gonna go ahead and put those in there as well. Now you can see that directly here in the back office, I get some representation and idea of how it will look on my site. But one of the great things about working with content in Umbraco is actually also the preview mode. The preview mode gives you the ability to see your content in the real world example. You can see how it looks on your screen and how it will look for your website visitors before it goes live for the entire public to see. You can even do stuff like fitting your browser, so you can make sure that your content looks great on all screen sizes and aspect ratios that exist, making sure that it looks great on your website before you press the big green button here to have it be saved and published and go live for the entire world to see all of the great content that you have created using Umbraco. So that's enough for the demonstration of the back office and the capabilities of Umbraco. I do want to also talk a bit about our approach to this whole world of delivering digital experience platforms. It's kind of a buzzword, especially in the website industry currently, because obviously you want everything to go into the same platform. You want to manage the marketing automation. You want to manage the workflow for content, maybe even some CRM. And our approach to that, we call that best of breed DXP, best of breed digital experience platform. And that means that what we are aiming to do is to make it extremely easy to integrate other systems with Umbraco. We have more than 300 packages that's available, and you can install and extend the functionality beyond what's coming out of the box with Umbraco. Some of the examples you see here on this slides, also a bit of context into what can you extend Umbraco with, be that e-commerce, maybe you have a digital assets management system or a product inventory management system. You want to do personalization for a marketing perspective, do campaign management, analytics, all of that you can do with Umbraco and some of our great partners that you see on these slides, and integrate those services into Umbraco. Of course, this is a very fast-paced webinar, but we do also do free demonstrations where we take you through the entire experience of working with Umbraco. So I'll really encourage you, those of you who want to take a further look at Umbraco, to book such a free demo. You can either reach out to me or Jake, or you're also more than welcome to go to our website, umbraco.com/free Umbraco demos, and go ahead and book one for yourself. We have them available around the clock, so we should be able to do a full 1 hour demonstration of Umbraco for you all. And that was actually it for our presentation.
Thank you so much. I always love learning about the enhancements of the CMS system. So certainly the 10 minutes or so doesn't do us justice, but thanks for that introduction. Again, folks, if you want to raise up some questions for the team here, go right ahead. And as you're doing that, there is a couple questions that did come in. So what is the licensing cost for Umbraco?
Yep. So we're open source, so there is no license cost for Umbraco, and that's something that we're committed to forever. So we will always be open source. At least the CMS will be. Okay, great. As associations that have members, around the world, does Umbraco support, multiple languages?
Yes, that's in fact something that Umbraco does very well. Working with multiple different languages in Umbraco is a breeze. And for content editors working with multiple different languages, it's something that is very well implemented into the entire CMS, and can see all sorts of different languages at once and do all of the translation stuff as well. And as with everything on Umbraco, it's totally customizable. So you get to be the one selecting what properties and what kind of things in the CMS can be translated and what cannot.
Kevin, did you see the question from Diane in the chat? Diane says, can you integrate with Adobe Magento? I can't say the word.
Magento.
Commerce.
Yeah.
I should have had you ask the question.
So the beauty of Umbraco and integrations is in fact that being open source, having our entire source code out there, it's very easy to integrate Umbraco with whatever you might have. For some services, there are packages available where you can just click a button and have it be integrated. For others, you will have to have your development partner, which could be Adage, to build an integration and integrate the services into Umbraco. And there are multiple different ways to do that.
Now, what about other resources for Umbraco? You know, what I'm thinking about is like user groups or communities or training. What about those type of resources for support?
Yep. So we have extensive documentation put together by that community that I had mentioned, which is a great learning tool. We do also have something called Umbraco TV, which is kind of archive of videos and how-tos and different learning tools within there. Beyond that, we also offer online training on the CMS itself, as well as some extensive past that more longer trainings beyond that. But those are all done online with our trainer, part of our training team. And yeah, if anyone has any interest in that, they're more than welcome to reach out to myself as well.
Okay, and maybe follow up on Diane's question. You know, we all have different technology stacks that we're all using to manage members and for more engagement and online learning and things of that nature. So will Umbraco integrate with my existing stack?
Yeah, and I think that kind of also extends on the question from Diane, that what Umbraco can actually do for you is to bring in all sorts of different things. There are functionality out of the box to manage something like members. So you can build a membership portal and have that be managed through Umbraco. But you can of course also integrate all sorts of different services that you have out there. Maybe you have an existing member archive and you want people to be able to log in with the same credentials as they use everywhere else. You can integrate that into Umbraco as well as all sorts of other services. Yes.
Okay, great. Well, again, if anyone else has follow-up questions for the team here, you can still submit them to the chat and we'll get them over to Adage and Umbraco. But thanks, guys. Thanks, Jake and Jake.
Thanks, everyone.
And Yuto.
Thank you.
We'll see you soon. So next, I'd like to introduce Garrett Grant, VP of Client Services and Association Practice Lead at Volair. And Volair is going to discuss how to turn your website into a pillar of membership value.
Absolutely. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Sherry.
Thanks, Garrett.
First off, I just want to thank all of .org community for having us here. We're excited to be a part of this exciting day. And I'm excited to talk to you about exactly what Kevin said, helping to turn your website into a pillar of membership value. In a previous webinar with .org community, I had talked a little bit about, along with one of our clients from the Urban Land Institute, a content resource that we had built for them. And what this presentation I'm hoping to focus on is focusing a little bit more on some quick wins that people can start to make headway on and start improving today. So a little bit of a smaller investment for hopefully a big impact. A little bit about myself. I'm Garrett Grant. I work at Volair, which is a Boston-based digital agency. I head up our client services team for all association and trade organizations. I'm Boston based, and I have over a dozen years of experience working in this space. And currently I'm working with about 24 different active association and trade organization clients, and working to try and help find the right way to navigate bringing their members value with their websites. So a little bit about Valier. We are as I mentioned, a Boston-based agency. We're headquartered in Somerville, Massachusetts, which is just outside of Boston. We're at over about 120 people. Since the pandemic, we've actually we actually employ people across 21 states now. So we have a much more national footprint than we did before. And we've been in business for a little over 21 years. And we really exist at that intersection between design and technology. What we really try and work with our partners on is understanding what experience and what goals digitally they're trying to execute for both their organization, in our association's cases, their members. And so that requires a collaboration between visual and user experience designers and digital strategists, and our development team and technologists that can make that happen. So we try and make sure that we're collaborating both with our experts in-house, as well as with our client partners, to really land on what those goals are and execute on them efficiently. As I mentioned, we work with a lot of different association and member organization and trade organization groups. This is just a small selection of people that we are currently partnering with. Each one is definitely different, both from a structure of their internal team, their technology makeup, the platforms and their tech stack that they use, as well as how involved their board is, or what the communication requirements are. So we make sure to early on really get involved with our client teams and make sure that we're helping them communicate with both their internal team and their members. And as we have worked with these different associations over the years, we're really starting to notice trends that are impacting strategies that associations are facing. And it starts with a consumer-based trend that is shifting. And your members are consumers, and their expectations are rising for different useful and personalized experiences and seamless interactions. The association model itself is also changing, and this was really sped up with everything that happened in the pandemic and the impact that had on a lot of steadfast revenue sources that associations had, whether it be in-person conferences and different networking opportunities. We've seen a lot of our clients working to try and understand, how do we evolve our business model to stay valuable and stay providing that key impact and key membership value for their members. And lastly, that entire wave to evolve that business model is creating a competition. Oftentimes associations don't have direct competitors, but what the competition is creating is the dollars of their members. What are they seeing the value, and are they choosing to continue to subscribe and continue to join and continue to pay membership dues? And are they getting the value that they see? And so what we're working with our clients a lot on is, how do we make sure that as an association, we are providing value to the membership? And a lot of times, and this is similar to the talk I gave last time around that content hub, it involves some digital transformation. However, digital transformation takes time and it takes significant investment. So what I want to talk about today is, how can association marketers and technologists enhance membership value on their sites today? So what I've pulled together here are 5 things that you can start to look at after you leave this webinar, and start to really see if you can start to move the needle on your site today with your members. First is putting your data to use. And I feel like data is something that is talked about more and more and more. And one of the questions that we get to, and I think a lot of people are focusing a lot of time on, is the idea around CDPs and data warehouses, and centralizing their data between all of the different properties that they have and touch points that their members have. We think that's a great idea, and that's something that we help our clients with a lot, but that kind of falls into that category of large digital transformation that we were talking about. There's also things today that you can do that can start giving you more information today. Google Analytics offers, you can create dashboards based on the behaviors and the conversions that you want to see on your website. And you can build a dashboard one time. You can work with, if you have analytics people in-house or you have an agency partner that you work with, this can be set up in a day's time. And what you have is you don't need to continue to go back for, get sent an updated report on a weekly basis or on a monthly basis. This dashboard will update and operate in real time and start to give you insights around the key interactions that you're getting that you want to see tracked. And what this is going to do is it's going to start to feed you information that not only gives you a sense of how your website's performing right now, but can start to inform some of the other tasks that I'm talking about today. Secondly is using the language that your members use to refer to what is going on within your association. One of the things that we often see is that an association's website is more structured from a navigation standpoint and content silo standpoint, how their organization is structured versus what their members actually need to do. So this is a conversation that we very frequently have and something that we find opens a lot of doors once we really start to implement this. And this is something that you can really start to understand based on the data and reporting that you get from a dashboard that you'd set up in the previous step. It's if you can identify what the key activities your members are trying to accomplish, or really what they refer to things as, whether it's certain reports, certain types of content, whether it's case studies, making sure your site reflects that language. And a lot of you have content management systems and content platforms similar to Umbraco that you're going to be able to hands-on touch these items and make these changes yourself. And then you can continue to see if the data is improving and the behavior is improving with your dashboard that you had set up. Continuing to build on this, a focus on findability is really big too. And once you know how your membership refers to the different pieces of content that you're looking at on your site, you can translate this through the rest of your site. You can restructure your navigation to be able to accommodate how people look at your site. We've had to work with a lot of clients to take a look at their current navigation, which, similar to the last point, reflects how the organization is structured versus what their members are looking to do and what actions their members are trying to perform. So using a CMS, you can start to rejigger your content and start to move things around to focus on that improved findability for your members. The other thing you can do here is not just the way your members are looking at it, but this can also act as an opportunity to rise up desired behaviors for your organization, whether it's clicking in to get more information, whether it's signing up for an online membership, whether it's signing up for, whether it's renewing a membership. These key desired behaviors can be leveled up in this context to help streamline those key activities that are going to be impactful for your organization. Another thing that we have helped our clients do with their existing websites and what is happening on them today is we've identified content that is the most impactful and very shareable. Oftentimes, member organizations and professional groups that are focused around healthcare really would post a journal article or a piece of or a point of view on their website that really gained traction during COVID. And what we worked with a lot of them to do is, if that was ever password protected or member blocked, we worked to bring that forward in front of the login. And there are a few different ways to handle that, such as designate certain types of content as pre-login and not requiring a membership, content gating where we can use cookies to tag certain pieces of content where if you've accessed 3 or 5, similar to how some news publications work, you're able to consume those articles before you get hit with a content gate that requires a membership. But what this really does is it gives people a glimpse into how valuable your organization can really be if they are a member, with the content and the expertise and the knowledge that you provide. Really, one of the things that we see time and time again is the expert content that lies behind a login or lies within an association, whether it's within their professional journals or in a lot of their findings and reports. Bringing some of these key ones that can make an impact out in front of the login can actually raise membership sign-ins, especially now that people have moved to identifying content as a huge part of their perceived value of a membership, in addition to networking and in-person events that were previously the kings for associations. And lastly on this, I wanted to talk about cross-promoting. Similar to the last point, if there are content pieces that are gaining high traction, what we would recommend doing is creating calls to action for other either impactful content or high impact actions and conversions that you want your website users to take, and cross promoting that across different pages. So if there is a journal entry that was posted during COVID that was gaining a lot of traction, and what you can do with that is feature a call to action for potentially a high performing membership conversion page that outlines the benefits of membership, making sure that those pieces of content are on the same page and really ushering people into a flow from page to page to page is really going to expose people to content and expose people to parts of your site or expertise within your organization that they may not have been privy to or may not have been aware of previously. So that type of connection can really open their eyes and open their world into what a true membership can provide. And when compared with things like the content gating and starting to push towards high impact conversions, this can really turn into a snowball for revenue conversion or membership conversion for your organization. And of course, to keep track on all of these changes that you're making, if you set up that dashboard first in Google Analytics, you're going to be able to follow along a lot of the changes that you're making and see where the greatest impact is. And you can do more of that. And maybe one of the tweaks you made had dipped performance a little bit. We can tweak a little bit of that. The whole goal of all of this is to be very low barrier to entry, to be able to execute on your website, to make high impact changes for your membership and in turn for the value that your website provides for your organization. So to recap, and this deck will be available for you all on our page with .org community as well, is put your data to use, set up a Google Analytics dashboard that you continually return to and continually use to farm information around how your membership is using your website. Second, make sure that you understand how your members talk about the things that are on your website and talk about the activities that they want to perform on your website. Because I think an eye-opening experience for a lot of associations is how different some of those things can be sometimes when they actually start to look at it. And it makes a world of difference in terms of the user experience on your site. Focusing on findability is taking the learnings from two and permeating that through your navigation, through your site structure, potentially through your taxonomy as well. Fourth is bringing in popular content in front of that login. If there's content that you know is making an impact with your membership, maybe try bringing a couple pieces out in front of the login and sharing that valuable content with potential members and giving them an incentive to see what is behind the rest of that login and if they know that that quality content is there. And then lastly, cross promotion is going to be your best friend when it comes to making your membership aware of some of the other great pieces of content that you have. I flew through that all to try and get through all five. So I wanted to thank everybody. And if there are any questions, either now, feel free to ask, or you're always welcome to email me and I'd be happy to follow up and talk more.
Great. Thanks, Gary. That was really good. I also want to thank you for plugging the Solution Center. So again, solutions.orgcommunity.com, you can find all this great content from all of our partners today and others who we're not presenting today as well. Again, if there are any questions, let us know. But Gary, I want to go back to your top five here, or maybe even point number 4. I think some of us have grown up through the school of thought of, oh yeah, our greatest content is for our members only, and that should be behind the the gated or the logon. So what's your recommendation for choosing that right content? Because I totally get, you want to put some teaser content out there to have your non-members or non-subscribers kind of dip their toes into what the organization can offer. So what advice would you give an organization about choosing that content to put out in front of the login?
Yeah, absolutely. Because you don't want to give away the farm ahead of the login there. It's definitely something that we carefully consider every time we have one of these conversations. And I would say that there's not a blanket rule in terms of what is the right content to bring forward and what is not the right content. Typically, what we I'd say do more often than not is identifying a couple of key pieces of content that have really taken off. And what those pieces of content can do is they've made such a wide impact to the membership that sharing that out with people that could start to dig in, it really helps them see what type of content is behind the label or is behind the login. Where if it's only a couple pieces of content and it's high impact content and high traffic content, you can have a high degree of confidence that that content is going to leave a good impression for the people that are navigating it. And it's also not something that is going to create a free membership or give someone the impression that they got everything they needed for free. And this is kind of where cross promoting can work as well. You can cross promote things that are behind the login and let people know that hey, to access these couple of headlines that you found helpful, you need a membership here. The conversation is different with every association. In other cases, we've gone down the path of setting up that New York Times style paywall, where after 3 articles have been consumed, we set up a gate or a membership gate. And what that allows you to do is maybe the organization doesn't have those big articles that have really taken off, but there's just a consistent stream of valuable content that comes out. Giving people exposure to 2 or 3 articles there, it's not going to make them feel like, okay, I've got what I need. I don't need to pay for a membership. If anything, it's going to say, this is a site that I want to keep coming back to on a weekly basis, on a bi-weekly basis, to consume whatever new posts have been made. And those first couple articles can really be the ones to set the taste for like, hey, this is the type of stuff you can expect if you sign up for a membership.
Well, great, Garrett. I know there's another question posted in chat, but just for time's sake, Garrett, I'm going to have you just respond to Diane's question in the chat so everyone can see it. But thank you so much. This was really great, your 5 tips here.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Kevin. Yeah, and I'll respond to Diane in the chat.
Yep. Thank you. Great. Well, next, I'd like to welcome Michelle Breen, Vice President of Marketing and Product Strategy with WBT Systems. And Michelle will be showing us successful learning programs for all types of learners with their top class LMS. So welcome, Michelle.
Thanks, Kevin. Thanks for having me to join you today.
Yep.
Just checking you can see the slides there.
Yes.
So I've done this a few times with you guys now, Solutions in Action, and we've done it a few different ways. This time I thought it would actually be kind of fun for people to see what some of our clients have done and actually putting top class LMS into action. So I'm going to talk through a couple of success stories from our clients rather than kind of walk you through the features and things like that. So hopefully it'll be interesting for everybody.
Great. Thank you.
No problem. Before we get started, I'm just going to give you a little background on who we are. So Top Class LMS is a powerful education platform that helps your association expand your online learning portfolio to become the preferred educational partner in your industry, hopefully, and help you to deliver impactful learning to members at every stage of their professional career. We have purpose-built the platform for association education and certification. It's got powerful e-commerce capabilities and, most importantly, a single point of support for our integrations with all of the various technology solutions that associations use. And these are developed by our in-house team. We've been in business 27 years now, I think, and we've got over 5 million users of Top Class all over the world in 23 different countries. We're headquartered here in Dublin, Ireland, which some of you may know and some of you may not, or may have guessed from my accent. So it's really nice to be able to join you all virtually today. A little bit about Top Class here. You can see on the screen the various things that you can do with it. It allows you to create a customizable learning portal, which can be easily branded to match your website. It gives you the flexibility to add features as your programs grow, to expand your learning programs beyond, say, webinars or live instructor-led training into things like interactive video, self-paced online courses, maybe created in SCORM or something like that, and offer blended learning. There's a variety of assessment and testing methods, detailed reporting, and you can also track and manage things like certifications, micro-credentials, and learning pathways, and also your virtual conferences and events, which can be launched and run from within your LMS. But as I said, I want to let our clients do the talking really today. So I'm going to start sharing stories. I'm hoping that I can get through all three in the few minutes that we have. So I'll probably talk quickly, but do just kind of give me a heads up if you need me to slow down. So the first story we're going to share is that of the International Association of Plumbing and Mechanical Officials. Basically, plumbing, manual labor, it's really hard on plumbers' bodies, and they've got major back and knee problems by the time that they reach middle age. So IAPMO, as I'll refer to them for short, they looked at their members' actual literal pain points, and they saw an opportunity to help them move forward in their careers by creating training, which was normally delivered in person, that would help their members to transition into less physically taxing jobs, such as managers or inspectors. They converted many of their in-person courses to virtual format in the midst of the pandemic, because obviously their members couldn't access in-person courses. And this was quite a change for their members to deal with, because they weren't very technology savvy. So IAPMO took the courses that would normally deliver in person, for example, a 6-hour seminar on a specific topic. They actually went and recorded that entire thing in Zoom as one event, and then chopped it up into smaller chunks to create courses that can take 15-20 minutes of video to watch, and then maybe a 7-question quiz. They packaged up in SCORM and redelivered it then online. They also did things like create a 3-day inspector training program, which again had been designed to be delivered face-to-face, but they had to produce it online instead. And this one actually became so popular for them that they're actually going to keep it online, because it attracted a global audience that they hadn't actually expected. So a great side benefit there. Most importantly, though, they had to help their members get used to accessing the learning online. And what they did, which was really great, was they used a feature of the LMS, which is the landing page, that allows you to kind of do a few things to help market your programs and give a kind of a page to pull everything together for your learners. And they created step-by-step videos with screen grabs to show their learners how to actually navigate through the system. And this was put front and center in the landing page of the learning management system. So it would be the first thing they could see, and it would help to acclimate them to the new platform. So the switch to online training has increased their global audience, as I mentioned, and really expanded the career possibilities for their members. They actually found that the traffic for their online courses quadrupled when they moved them online. And many of their members are actually saying that they won't go back to face-to-face learning, because they can actually find it easier to access the training around their various call outs for different jobs and their schedules, which are constantly changing. And it means it's more accessible for them to access learning online and get the continuing education credits that they need to stay licensed in their state. So the next story is completely different. This is the story of the National Alliance for Insurance Education and Research. And they began working with us about 6 years ago, when they first made the move from in-person to online learning. And initially, again, they offered the training to programs that they offered to their individual members. But one of the things that they discovered was, in all of their course evaluations, they asked who reimbursed the cost of the training, and 96% of participants said that they were reimbursed by their employer. So the National Alliance spoke to stakeholders in their industry to understand what challenges they had in providing training for their employees, and they saw an opportunity to resell training as an outsourced provider of a corporate learning portal for their industry. They then moved on during the pandemic again. It accelerated some of the plans that they did already have in place, and they ended up launching a subscription-based pricing offer for both individuals or companies on the back of requests from some of the companies that were members in having the Alliance bundle content for them. And so what they did was they created these subscriptions that allow the individual or the company unlimited online access to designation programs or courses, and the subscriptions actually included the membership fees. Now the Alliance has actually taken a further step, and what they've done is they had built their program on competencies, which many of their members didn't actually realize. But when they actually went and talked to their members and explained how the competencies aligned with job roles, they realized they could create learning paths that were specific for different careers. And so they now have learning pathways that help different job roles like account managers, producers, or underwriters to get the goals and certifications that they need to succeed in those roles. Because continuing education is a huge requirement in their industry, learners are required to renew their certification annually. And so with the 98% certificate retention rate, the Alliance enjoys very healthy recurring revenues. And this is really reflected in the huge growth that they experienced during the pandemic, being already ready to take on the challenges of move to virtual learning because they had the foundation in place and were able to expand on that, as opposed to having to get started when many associations were just starting to dip their toes in. They actually had already seen growth in their online education revenue by 20% in 2019, but in 2020, they actually had experienced a huge revenue growth of 101%, which was fantastic. So last but not least, I'm going to move on to the story of the Texas Restaurant Association, which again is completely different success story here and a very different use case. You can see here a quick shot of their landing page in Top Class LMS. This is what their learners see when they log in. The Texas Restaurant Association has been using Top Class LMS for a little over a year actually now, but they're doing some really great things. The restaurant industry is really highly regulated. To pass inspections and keep the doors open, restaurant employees have to be certified in order to handle food and alcoholic beverages. And this was a bit of an impediment for people getting back to work as things started to open up again after the pandemic. The Texas Restaurant Association was successful in being awarded a grant from the Texas Workforce Commission to help employees return to work in the hospitality industry. However, though, they did have plans to replace an old customized platform that they were using to deliver their training. This grant actually came with a 4-week timeline, and in that 4 weeks they had to implement a new learning management system and integrate it with their AMS platform in order to launch the courses by the specified date that the grant required. So they selected Top Class LMS because it was proven to integrate with their AMS, and it allowed them to update and modernize their training and certification programs. The grant allows the Texas Restaurant Association to provide those courses free to eligible learners, but they also sell access to these courses both to individuals and employers within their industry. They had named the course previously the TABC To Go course, but they discovered or they decided that they would rename it in order to try and increase demand. The state website, which lists all the certification courses for TABC, lists them alphabetically. So very cleverly, the TRA renamed their course the #1 TABC certification by TRA. And this has been extremely successful in driving up the demand. There's about 50 competitor courses that are listed on the site, but they are being very successful in recruiting new learners. Having a smooth implementation and integration with the AMS was essential for Texas Restaurant Association, but they couldn't have accounted or foreseen for the huge growth the courses experienced. And this is really largely in part due to that very clever marketing ploy that they put in place. So as you can see, they achieved amazing, unbelievable growth just within 6 months. They achieved a 465% increase in revenue and a 693% increase in the number of certificates that they issued in the last 6 months of 2021 compared to the same period in 2020. So with With that in place, you could imagine that with such huge numbers of learners accessing the system, there might be a few more issues, but thankfully they didn't experience a corresponding increase in support issues, as their learners found it much easier to access and work through the training when it was delivered through Top Class LMS. So with 3 completely different success stories, I hope I've given you an example of what is possible to achieve at Top Class, but I just wanted to kind of close out with these very wise words from the Texas Restaurant Association, because I think they'll apply to any of the systems you're looking at today. So if you start with the end result and know what your organizational goals are and what you're working towards, then I think you will actually be much more clear in your requirements for any new technology system. And you can work backwards from there to make sure that the system that you choose will work for you now and in the future.
That's some good advice, Michelle.
I know, I couldn't not share it. I just thought it was. And you know, when you have a 4-week timeline, you have to get clear. You have to know exactly what you want. So it really kind of, it's a great thing to be able to share with people.
Well, and I can't say anymore to people that you can't get this done that quick. You proved it.
Yeah, that's great. And who wouldn't want those numbers you shared with us? I mean, those are outstanding numbers.
I know.
For growth.
You guys are always, you know, saying to associations that you really need to think about digital transformation, and you really need to have the proper systems in place. And I really think that, you know, these 3 organizations, Texas Restaurant Association had a system in place, but obviously had to move, but the other 2 had their systems in place. And it meant that they were able to pivot and grow their programs much more quickly in really challenging times, where other associations, you know, were just getting started. So you can see the results, I guess, which is great.
That's fantastic. Thanks for sharing those case studies. Great examples. We're going to move on to our next presenter, but if you have any questions for Michelle or WBT, please send them in the chat, and we'll take a peek at those and have them answered. But Michelle, again, thanks again for sharing those fantastic results.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Great. Now I want to turn it over to Nate Shearer, account executive with WebCourseworks.
Yep.
And Nate's going to share with us 5 ways that CourseStage LMS can boost non-dues revenue for your association. All right, Nate, take it away.
I appreciate it, Kevin. Good afternoon now, everybody, depending on whatever time zone you may be in. So as Kevin had said, we're going to go over some different solutions for non-due revenue within associations this afternoon. Again, my name is Nate Shearer, one of the account executives with WebCourseworks. It's actually my first time presenting for Solutions in Action, so I'm excited. I know we only got a few minutes today, so we'll try to keep it short and give some time for any questions and or discussions at the end of this. We do have a colleague as well in the chat, so if there's any questions throughout this that you'd like to get answered right away while I'm going through the presentation, we'd also be able to answer those in the chat for you. So just a little overview of the agenda here. We'll do a brief introduction of WebCourseworks. We will then dive into the business problem or business challenge, the non-paid or non-dues revenue. We have found that it's actually better for us as a partner of associations to dive into those business challenges and business problems before actually getting to the LMS solutions, the LMS features, all of the pretty things that everybody wants to see. So we got to understand the challenges first before that. And then again, we'll have a few minutes, depending on time, for any discussion or questions at the end of this. So brief WebCourseworks overview. We're an online learning technology company based out of Madison, Wisconsin. Strong base of medical associations, as well as trade associations, professional organizations, anything as well that offers any continuing education for their members or learners. We've been successful helping associations implement successful LMS as we understand the importance of learning and accreditation needs. We offer the full suite of services and have US-based support all of it's done in-house within WebCourseWorks and our team. So the association business challenges that we're going to be discussing this morning or afternoon, the non-dues revenue opportunities. So typically you'll see with associations, 2 revenue channels, one being your paid members and the other being your non-paid members, which is what we are going to dive into today. With this, ultimately associations are trying to get these learners in the non-paid section over to one of their paying members. And you'll see as we work through some of these solutions within the LMS, it actually helps guide non-members to see specific things that might intrigue them as well to become one of those paid members. 2 of the things to help with those different solutions what we're going to focus on today are the catalog as well as the live webinar hosting capabilities. So the first revenue opportunity solution that we're going to dive into today, this is what a one of our example catalogs may look like as a non-member. So you'll see here on in the dashboard a few different courses with different credit types. These ones are online courses. You have your live events and course bundles here, as well as your webinars. So this is going to help guide revenue based on those non-members. They're able to pull up this public-facing catalog to see, you know, a broad overview of what might be included within this course. If this is even a course, you know, maybe they need specific credits, or it has to be a live event, webinar. Again, can be very open-ended and customized on the admin side to drive that traffic for your non-members. You'll also see one of the things we had touched on previously was driving those non-members to become members. You'll see there's a personalized recommendations tab up here. This would be for your actual paying members to access this content. So it would pull up a Netflix style dashboard. You'll have different roles like this within that the non-members aren't able to access, but again, could help drive them, you know, wanting to get that personalized recommendations based on the different content you may be offering. The right-hand side here in the activity search, there's different functionality for members and non-members. So as a non-member, you can filter this to see everything that's offered to strictly non-members as you're just browsing through the catalog. For instance, if I wanted to look at it knowing I'm not a member, I could pull that information up and dive into just anything that would be accessible for me to purchase, as well as the different credit types and credit amounts that are available. The second catalog overview that we'll touch on here, this is just a different layout of this. Again, and they're all completely customized based on the association's needs as well as their learners. But for a non-paid member, they could see a catalog like this, and now this is going to be broken into specific categories. So for instance, you may be part of the front end staff, the business staff, leadership within an association, and you need specific credit types as a non-member that you want to get into here. You can pull those up as a non-member and see all of these, as well as an overview of what you'll be getting into. These different sections are just another way for non-members to browse this information, as well as to purchase the content. So certificate programs, as well as live webinars. One of the live webinar options you have here, and again, you might be wondering why webinars would be a good strategy to be driving non-member revenue growth. When you're bringing non-members to your LMS or to your website, anything that you might be offering, there's different capabilities to offer specific things within the live webinar to drive separate purchases and or driving the traffic to, again, become a paid member as they may not be paying for that currently. So within this live webinar function, they can host these, offer continuing education credits, and very friendly user interface. as a non-member would be able to pull this up, click right into one of the live event, depending on the day that they're selecting that, go to register, it'll take you to the direct page. There's not a bunch of bouncing around from website to separate databases. You do have a lot of different functionality there. And on the right-hand side, you'll see here, the non-members will be able to pull up their evaluation and certificate right after the webinar, if that's part of what they're looking to get out of that. In our fourth slide here, you'll have another live webinar option with another user interface that these non-members are able to see. In this instant, their on-demand webinar is pulled up a little differently within the LMS here. They're able to see different learning objectives. In this case, the target audience for this, as a non-member browsing through the catalog, you really want to determine if you're paying for this content, if this suits what you're looking for. Table of contents up here makes it very easy for your non-members to move from the webinar to the post-test to the evaluation. And they're able to do that very seamlessly by even just clicking the next button here. You'd be able to pull this up directly from that catalog that we had showed earlier. You click register, it'll pull you to this page, give you an overview, and then from this page into the live webinar. So very seamless transitions for your non-members. There's a little brief overview there. I know it was relatively quick. We don't have a ton of time. I'm not sure, I haven't looked in the chat if there were any questions yet. I believe we have a few. I'm not entirely sure. They're kind of all over the place here. I wasn't sure if there's any in there, Kevin. But again, I have my email here. If there's anything we didn't touch on, or if there's anything you'd like to see in regards to catalogs, live webinars that CoreStage may be able to help with your associations in the future.
So Nate, one of the questions on the webinars, do you integrate with specific webinar software, or is it something that's within your platform?
So it can actually be done both ways. It could be housed directly within the LMS where you can host those live webinars. That does give access to your members and non-members, or those live webinars can be hosted on specific video sites that association may prefer to use, a Zoom, a GoTo, any other live webinar platform. The integration is there, and you'd be able to utilize that. And it would just take you from the catalog when you go to register, take you from that, the overview page right to where you're hosting that webinar.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Any more questions for Nate? All right. Again, Nate, thank you so much.
You bet. Thank you
for that information. And again, if you have any follow-up questions for Nate, you can certainly chat with him here or contact him at webcourseworks.com at his email. Great, thanks. All right. Next, I want to introduce you to JC Umish, Vice President of Sales in Americas, and Diana Perino, Senior Director at Association Solutions with Implisys. And they're going to actually talk about using artificial intelligence and machine learning to amplify your education program. So with that, I'll turn it over to you, JC.
Thanks, Kevin. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. This is the first time I'm presenting in this community, and happy to be here. Thank you so much for the opportunity. And thanks everyone for joining today. You see the name Diane Perino here. Diane is my colleague. She heads up the sales for nonprofits and societies and associations. And she helped with the deck, so that's her name. I am the head of sales for Impulses, and I've been with the company about 8 years now. This is the brief agenda that we plan to cover today. Give you a little background about who we are, what we do, and then talk about AI as a service, and then a couple examples of what we have done. There are some specific challenges that we are trying to solve, and we'll talk about the tools that we have built around those challenges. So with that, Infosys, we have been in business about 22 years now. We are based in New York City. We're about 1,000 people right now. We are a solutions provider and at the intersection of content, learning, and technology. So with our global reach, there are about 35 million lives that we touch every month. There are about 35 million users who access content through all of our platforms and ecosystems through our platforms. There are about 250 plus customers. Many of them are societies and associations. We also work with publishing, healthcare, and education companies. In the content and learning space, there's over 300 plus applications that we have developed. Learning management solutions, learning experience platforms, content databases, assessment solutions, etc. We also sell content to a lot of institutions. There's thousands of institutions who access content through our platforms. So we sell content on behalf of our societies and associations, association customers. And we also do a lot of enterprise solutions and application development. So that's who we are. This is a small list of customers that we work within the nonprofit space. Most of them have been a customer of ours even before I joined the company. I've been with the company about 8 years now. So strong partnerships. We always believe in relationship development and partnership based on mutual success. So that's how we've been working with all of these societies and associations. So the next few slides, I talk a little bit about artificial intelligence, ML. So I've been at 3 different conferences in the past 3 weeks, one on healthcare IT, and then the other one on technologies in nonprofits space. And right now I'm at an investor conference in the EdTech space, education technologies. And one common theme that's out there is artificial intelligence, machine learning, and everybody is talking about how they're trying to use in their own small use cases. But there's a lot of enthusiasm in the vendor community, investor community, but there is fear and inhibition in the buyer community. There are assumptions that it's going to be a huge undertaking and it's going to be difficult. So all those challenges are is what I'm hearing. So just wanted to address those things a little bit here. Machine learning is a smaller subset of artificial intelligence, which is more of a rules-based, purpose, built for purpose kind of solutions. And AI as a service, this offers off-the-shelf services which can be used readily. So these are services which are purpose-built to solve specific challenges, which can work independently, or it could be integrated with any of your solutions. So there's not a lot of initial effort that you will have to put in. You just have to identify the challenges that you are trying to solve, and then find for solutions out there which can be a suitable fit. So as a service model, SaaS was earlier one. Now, I mean, everybody's talking about AI as a service. This allows scaling to support small and larger organizations. And it also enables to experiment with smaller applications, smaller challenges that you're having with a low barrier of entry. So you can start with, say, I'm trying to solve challenges in how to make the content intelligent. How can I improve the search and discovery on my platforms? So those are some of the examples that you could get started off with. And these are specifically the challenges that we are trying to work on at Infosys. So in the publishing and society space, the challenges that we have seen is how to make the content more intelligent. We are not talking about the authenticity of the content or the subject matter. So that is all great, but then how does the content work in cohesion with the platforms and technologies which are being used? A lot of the times your content is actually being read by search engines. These are bots which need to understand the context to be able to serve the content better to the users. So that is the challenge that we are trying to solve, how to make your content more intelligent, and then how to make your user experience better. So how can the users find, buy, and consume the content that they're looking for at the time that they're looking for? And then how do we improve the learning outcomes, learning retention? These are some of the areas that we are focused on. So to begin with, how can we make your content more intelligent? There are a couple of different services or tools that we have built. These are called Metadata Tagger and Text Summarization or Summarizer. So Metadata Tagger actually goes through your content and then it tags your content better. So one of the challenges we have seen in multiple implementations is there is content, but then the content is tagged very poorly. So the search, it throws up wrong results or not showing accurate results. So the metadata tagger, it's a routine that we built which can crawl through the content and then identify what it is about and then tag the content appropriately and more specifically. So that helps the search engines find the content easily. And the text summarizer also creates summaries of content. It could be a paragraph, could be an important paragraph, and then the summarizer could crawl through the content and then put a one-line summary of what the paragraph is talking about. It could be a paragraph, it could be a chapter, it could be a page, whatever it is. The text summarizer can actually go through the content, summarize the content for the search engines and the platforms to be able to understand the content and serve up the results better. In terms of recommendations, how do you personalize? I mean, we have seen many platforms use more like a hard-coded recommendation. If you're using this content, you'll probably like, if you're accessing content A, you may like content B, C, and D. What we have done is we have created a recommendation engine to make it more personalized user behavior, and then use whatever we have, the services that we talked about, the metadata tagger and summarizer. So use the results of that plus the user behavior on the platform. So use all of those things to serve better content recommendations, and not just the format that, for example, when I'm searching for, say, COVID-19, I won't be looking for a book or a course. I would probably be searching for the term. I would be searching for some concept. So you should be able to show all of the content types, whether you have it in your book or an article or video, all of that should be available to your members when they're looking for the content. So that is what we have done. So this, the recommendation engine that we have, if you're having multiple content formats, it will go through all of that and it'll surface all of those content based on the availability on the platform to make your content more visible in format agnostic in any format that you may have. And the other one, the last one but not the least, is the learning outcomes. How do we improve learning outcomes and how do we improve the learning retention? So over the years, with all the experience developing e-learning courses and instruction design, what we have learned is, practice is really what makes the learning retention and outcomes better. So what we wanted to do is create a place for your users to practice more, take more assessments. So we have created what is called an intelligent question generator. So this is again one of those AI enablers or tools or services we have developed. So using the IQ or intelligent question generator, users will be able to create questions on the fly. So it'll go through the content. There'll be a user interface where user can say, I want to practice on this specific topic, and say X number of questions, randomize all of that, and then the tool will be able to create questions and serve the assessment on the fly. So with that, there'll be more practice. There's a lot more testing that happens. And all of that testing will actually figure out those areas of improvement. What are the areas where you need additional reinforced learning? And based on that, there'll be more, there will be a customized learning path or customized content recommendations that will be provided to the user. So these are the three different services or enablers that we've developed. And just to give you a summary of this, intelligent question generator, text summarizer, metadata tag extractor, recommendation engine. So all of these are tools that we have developed. These are all available as services. You could use it on your platform. You could integrate with any other platform. You could work with us on all of these implementations. And we, I mean, just the last December, we participated in AWS's AI Conclave, and Intelligent Question Generator was one of the tools that were presented there. And we were a winner in the ISV Innovation Cup, the Independent Software Vendor Innovation Cup. So this was widely recognized as a great solution, which can help in the testing and assessment development in the future. So that's something that I want to bring up here. And in terms of the overall capabilities at Impulsus within the space, these are different areas that we are working on. NLP, textual analysis, there are different categories, or rather different types of work that we do, tagging, sentiment analysis. We also work on creating those named entity recognitions, knowledge graphs, and all that. We also work on computer vision, object detection, video analysis. So these are some of the areas where we have capabilities, and we use some of these technical capabilities in building the services that I just talked about. So that was a brief introduction about who we are and what we do. So I'll open it up for questions. If you have any questions, comments. Diane, if you want to add anything, please feel free.
Great, JC. That's pretty cool what you're working on, and it's award-winning from the AWS. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Again, we could look at some questions through the Q&A, but as you guys are thinking about those questions for JC and Diane, can we introduce these AI tools to other LMS or websites that we already have?
Oh, definitely. So what we are trying to do is we're creating these as services which will be licensed to other vendors also. They can license, integrate, and then they can enhance that as well. And then we work on open APIs. So we provide APIs which can be integrated with other solutions and platforms.
Okay, and then related to that is when we do implement or introduce these tools, does this make it harder or easier for our users to interact with our websites or other online learning properties?
So that's a great question. It would greatly enhance the user experience on the platform. Again, everything relates back to the data. As long as the data is correct, you'll find that the user experience is so much more better. I'll tell you a story when AI almost got me killed. My wife has two phone numbers, one personal and work phone, and her number is saved as wife and then wife work. She had misplaced her phone. I said, Siri, can you call my wife? And Siri said, which wife?
Oops.
So that was a big trouble. So again, machine learning is nothing but a set of functions which depend on the underlying data set. As long as the data is ready, we help people create the data in the right format. So as long as the data is right, the models will work and will greatly enhance the user experience.
The one thing that I did want to add is that we have our flagship platform, IPC Scholar, and that's a modular architecture. So if you did want our LMS, you could have that. And then if you wanted to layer on top of it the question generator and other AI tools, you could layer that onto your architecture. So it's a very flexible configuration that can do your ebooks and publishing solutions, and incorporating that search within it for the AI intelligent search.
Right. So I know there's a lot of other tools out there, but how can I tell if I'm using really an AI tool or someone else's like non-AI tool disguised as one?
So yeah, there is a lot of that, which is many of them are hard coded and throws up recommendations based on the preset rules and all that. So you need to work with consultants who can actually understand data science and understand the models which are being used. So that's where consultants like us and advisors will come into play. You need to really understand the challenge you're trying to solve and the models which are being used.
Okay, great. That's great. AI. Okay. Any other questions for our guests today, JC or Diane? I don't see any in the chat. Well, guys, thank you so much. And we'll move on to our next presenter. Again, thanks.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. Nice seeing everyone.
Yep. Great. Next, we have Thomas Wang, is Director of Business Development with 360 Factor, who are the makers of the Oasis LMS. And Tom's going to be presenting solutions on productizing your educational content through instructional sales. So Tom.
All right. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay. All righty. So there must be a typo. It's actually institutional sales.
Oh, institutional sales. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No
That's
worries.
why I stumbled on that. It's like, that didn't make sense.
Sure.
Okay. Yeah, institutional sales. Thanks, Tom.
Fantastic. All right. And I will keep my camera off until the end, just so that I don't run into any network issues. But welcome, everybody. Good afternoon. My name is Tom Wang, and I'm with Oasis LMS. And so today I'm going to spend the next 10 minutes or so just to talk about how to generate additional revenue through institutional sales. And because I am coming from a learning management platform, my focus will be strictly on how to monetize your educational product. And before I start, just a big shout out to everyone at .org community for putting together this event so that I get a chance to speak with everyone. But with that said, I'm just going to get started. So a common question that a lot of our education clients ask us is, how do I generate more revenue out of my existing assets? So I always try to probe a little bit to say, so what are your existing assets? And typically there are 4 things that are listed. So everyone believes that their education content is the best and the most trustworthy. And trustworthy is kind of important because there's a lot of user-generated content on the internet. You go to YouTube, there's plenty of those. So they believe that their content are vetted and trustworthy. And also, a lot of our clients believe that they do have a strong pipeline of content, as they have a lot of volunteers that are constantly generating new contents. In addition, they typically have a lot of connections to various programs and institutions. And one of the feedback they hear from all these institutions is they want content for their team member or their learners. And with those things listed, I will always follow up to say, well, sounds like you're prime for institutional sales or B2B sales. So, and with that on top of our mind, I would just want to sort of describe how are B2B sales different from B2C, right? So everybody already know this, but I just want to list it just so that we can sort of frame my my demo here today. So first is that the institutions typically are looking for a lot more tailored content or curated content, in the sense that they are not really going to go through your catalog of hundreds of products and then decide which one to purchase. What they want is they want things handed on a silver platter to say, do you want the blue pill or the red pill? And then each one are clearly described so that they can just pick what you're offering to them. So curation is important. Second is that a lot of institutions want a flexible purchasing model, whether that it is prepayment so that the payment can be lined up with their fiscal year, or bulk purchase or group purchase to receive certain discount, to flexible seat management so that they can control who within their organization have access to the product. And after they give you a bag of money and have access, have their user accessing your content, they will also like to be able to monitor what their users are working on so that they know whether they're getting a return on their investment or not. And if you push a little bit further, everyone is very competitive, and they also want to be able to compare their learners' competency and scores against peer institutions if the product that they purchase has some sort of a competency diagnostic and scoring. One thing that's good about B2B sales that's different from B2C is they're actually not looking for free product. So literally you have this audience who say, as long as you can meet the 4 things I'm listed, I actually don't mind if I had to pay a little bit for this product. So with that said, what I'm going to show is just a few slides of how we are working with our clients to meet their institutional clients' requirement by offering their existing content, repackaging it, and then sell it to this institutional groups. So the first is, I would say, is curated and tailored bundle. So here's just an example where one of our clients took a lot of existing content they already have and they created 2 bundles, one called Novice, one called Competent. So the idea here is that they are going to go to market to other institutions with these 2 offerings. And then the institutions will be able to purchase one or the other and then be able to assign either the Novice or the Competent bundle to whoever on their team that is appropriate, right? And each bundle will have, you know, whatever your association believe are curated for the audience. So your institutions doesn't really have to look around to see what courses to purchase. They would just have to focus on whether I want a Novice bundle or a Competent bundle. Here's another example where you can sort of, instead of focusing on 2 type of audience, you can also focus on 2 levels of price sensitivity to say that I have a basic bundle versus a premium bundle so that you can offer your product at 2 different pricing level with the different amount of content included. So here's just a few examples of how you can take your existing content, bundle them up, and sell it to institutional customers. And typically, when you bundle your content up, you want to sell them as a subscription in the sense that I'm going to sell this particular bundle just for 2022, and then I'm going to have a new bundle for 2023. That way you will continue to drive that revenue. And the typical configuration is, you can see the little green boxes. I refer to them as sort of the essentials or things that is just fundamental to the knowledge space. And then you can see where the red boxes are. These are updates. So every year you will have your bundle that contains quite a bit of same content that is really fundamental to the industry, and have a content update that is refreshed year after year. That way you can give people a strong incentive to renew their subscription when 1 year expires. So here, just just conceptually, that's how a lot of our association client sell their subscriptions. And in addition, the flexible purchasing model is also important. Here's just a screenshot of how you allow the user, the program coordinators, to say pay for something now and then consume it later, so that let's say they have certain amount of money left over in their budget and they want to make sure they spend it. Make sure that if their problem is to spend their money quickly, you want to answer that call, right? Another sort of a flexibility that we make sure we make available for our client are ability to manage seats or vouchers, so that you can see here. So someone is coming in, they're buying something that they want 5 seats, and then you can see that they will be able to pay almost $1,500 for 5 seats, and then they will be able to assign seats to their learners to be able to sort of control who have access within their organization to which course, which bundle they're purchasing. And everything here is completely self-service, so they don't even have to pick up the phone to, to make this transaction. So suppose at this point that they have already spent quite a bit of money and their user have already used the learning management system and have already made certain progress. The next screen here is sort of important in the sense that what they can come in and they can look at all the learners they have and very quickly eyeball the data and know which team member is diligently consuming the content and which team member hasn't really come in and done anything. So as you can see, this is really give your institutional customers a huge incentive to purchase from you, because as soon as their user start using the content they purchased, they don't need to call you to say, hey, how are my users doing with the content? They will be able to come in directly on their dedicated dashboard and see what everyone is doing, right? And last but not least, if your product has some sort of competency diagnostic or some sort of peer comparison data, you can easily see how this would bring even more value to your institutional consumers by saying, hey, you have purchased the exam-based product, and I'm able to give you a little bit more insight into not only how your program compare with other programs, but even all your student, all your learners within your organization, how does your student compare with their peers overall, so that it really drive a lot more value, so that instead of in addition to make sure that their learners are actually learning things that you curated for them, but they also have a chance to sort of compare horizontally against other institutions who has similar users and similar needs, and see how their institution compare with their peers. So that is just a quick rundown of anything that so sort of we are doing for institutional sales on our platform. So, all right. So with that said, let me know if anyone have any questions. And I see that Dan already asked a question. Can I have multiple institutions within one platform? The answer is yes. You can definitely be in charge of multiple institutions so that you can control users, vouchers for as many institutions as you want. So.
Great. Well, thank Tom. This was great. As you may know, some associations have both corporate members and individual members.
Yes.
So could your system handle both the B2B and the B2C in the same learning instance?
Yeah. So typically our clients' growth path has always been when they first launch on our platform, their main focus is their members. So it's a focus of B2C. And then after a while, they realize there's a lot of untapped potential with their content. So then they start to leverage our B2B capabilities, our institutional sales capabilities, to start market their product that they're already created for their members. They're just curating it, creating a bundle, and start selling it to institutions. So definitely, if you go to a lot of our client system, you will see that it's a lot of purchases are made by their members, and there's also a lot of purchases made by institutions, and they all on a single platform.
Okay, great. Yeah. How would you characterize some of your customers from a profile perspective, like in terms of number of members or learners? Do you focus on a higher tier, a lower tier, or what does that look like?
So I will say that we focus on, like, we don't have a suite number, like a membership level. We have some clients who actually have 2 million users that's driving through our system. And we also have clients who are just starting, and they might only have, say, 200 members. But sometimes those 200 members are probably member associations who will then have their users, right? But I would say that for our system, the number of users is really not important. We can handle associations big or small. So, yeah.
Great, thanks, Tom. Any other questions for Tom? All right.
All right.
All right. Good to see you.
Thank
Thank you, Dan.
All righty. Thank you, everybody.
All right, we're going to bring up our next presenter, but as Greg gets ready here, you know, the last few sessions, we talked a lot about non-dues revenue generation. And that's actually going to be one of our topics at our Innovation Summit on June 9th. And registration will open, I believe, today. So if you're interested, we'll be sending out some more information. Also, I know Michelle and JC and Tom have mentioned different case studies. They can also be found on our videos platform. So if you go to videos.orgcommunity.com, you can search for them there. Or you could probably even see them in person at Solutions Day, which will be in September of this year. So anyway, just a commercial break before as Greg gets ready to present. So anyway, I want to welcome Greg Pollock. He's the VP of Sales with Association Analytics. And Greg's going to share with us how to examine and unleash insights from your data analytics.
Awesome. Thanks, Kevin. Let me get my screen share here. Can you all see my screen? It should say "For the love of data" there.
Yeah, it's great. Thanks, Greg.
Awesome. So I want to thank Org Community, first of all, for inviting us. This is a great event we always love participating in. And I want to thank everybody who's an attendee on the call today, learning more about solutions that can help your association. You know, we here at Association Analytics love data, and we love helping associations leverage their data in the decision-making process. Now, we've heard from a lot of partners today about creating more data, right? Doug over at Association TV talked about people viewing your videos and tracking the content. Garrett talked about we want to monitor our website, see what's going on there, create dashboards through Google Analytics. We learned all about how our LMS can help generate more data. In a minute, Jeff from Wicket's going to talk about, what do we even, put our data? How do we handle this with our member data platform, his platform, Wicket? And I think it really all sums down to one challenge we have to think about is your association has more data now than it's ever had before. The data is getting bigger and it's getting more complicated. And you've got to put together a strategy on what are you going to do with all that data, right? The old mentality of just jam everything in the AMS and we'll create reports doesn't always work out, specifically with some of this newer data, a lot of this unstructured data. Now, why do we have to create a strategy to deal with our data? And the answer is, it's very helpful to have this data at your fingertips when you have questions. And I'm not talking about simple questions like how many members do we have? I'm talking about the complicated stuff, right? What type of event should we run next year? Which type of members are more likely to renew or not? What programs and services do we offer really move the needle for engaging our members in retention? How are we doing with D&I, specifically around our big annual conference? What's going on there? And data has the ability to answer all of these questions for us. But the challenge we run into, multiple challenges. One is a lot of times the data is locked up in multiple disparate systems, right? 80% of our data typically resides outside of the AMS. And even if we're doing some sort of single sign-on, we typically don't write all of the rich data, all those interesting interactions back in. But there are a lot of other challenges we run into, right? Somebody earlier said you can do this as long as the data is correct. Well, we know with our experience, the data is not always correct. We have data quality issues. We have data cleanliness issues. We just need to do a better job at things like data governance. What data do we collect? How do we tag that and why? And all of these challenges lead to a big headache with manual processes, generating reports, pulling it into Excel, doing some sort of pivot table magic to try and get that insight out. And this leads to another big challenges you all have at associations. It's just time. I just don't have enough time in my day or enough people in my staff to be doing all these things. There's got to be an easier, simpler way to do it. And that's where we want to come in with analytics. Now, I always like to walk through this really simple exercise. What's the difference between reporting? I get that now with my systems versus analytics. Reporting tells you what has happened in the past, right? Registrations are down. I don't really know why though, right? What am I supposed to do about that? How do I fix that? Where analytics comes to the table is it answers that question of why things are happening and allows you to look around the corner and get ahead of those challenges. So if registrations are down, why? Is it a specific member type, a specific demographic? And in my example here, it's first-time attendees. Okay, well, if we're looking for first-time attendees, where might we find them? In the past, where have our first-time attendees hung out? Are they in our LMS? Are they on our webinars? In my scenario here, they're in our online community. So here's another data source we bring into the table. Well, what do I know about people in the community, right? Well, if I'm blending that community data together with my business data, my renewals and sales, I can see that community members might renew at a higher rate and they might spend more with you. So the insight I'm looking for is, how do I get registrations back on track? The answer might be to promote my conference in my community where my potential first-time attendees live. But think about the amount of time it would take to run all those reports to get to that ultimate insight. That's where analytics can really come in and help you be successful. Now, we don't want to just show up and drop an enterprise analytics system in your lap and say, go for it. There's a lot of things we do to help enable that success. I talked about this already, but data governance is huge, right? We want to help you with the quality of your data, the definitions, the stored procedures you have written, all that sort of stuff. But we also want to help with data strategy. What sort of data might you need to acquire? How do you best configure those systems to get the best out of your data? And then we walk you through a step-by-step process, implementing our solution by pulling all of that disparate data together, blending it together in one place in a data lake, and then building visualizations that help answer questions we know you have. Now, you don't have to come to us and say, these are the exact questions I want answers to. We have out-of-the-box visualizations that answer questions I'm fairly certain you have about your membership and the retention, the product sales, their engagement scoring, predictive analytics. We know that you need these solutions because hundreds of other associations who work with us are already using similar things. So what is it we do here? So we pull all of your data from multiple disparate systems. We blend all that data together in one place called a data lake. And then we build visualizations on top of that data to help you understand what's going on with your data and to help you predict what's likely to happen in the future. I think the name says it best, but who are we? We are Association Analytics, exclusively focused on helping associations get the most out of their data. We've been an organization for over 20 years, and we have 100% client retention, meaning every organization that's worked with us to help improve their data quality and get meaning out of it is still working with us. And we do a lot, not only to help our partners with their data, but also just to educate the marketplace. So if you're interested in learning more about data analytics, we have a number of opportunities to be able to connect with us. Obviously, we participate in these programs here, but we also do things with ASAE at their conferences. We run a data analytics network. If you just want to come talk with other people about data, love to have you. And I also run a how-to series. Every couple weeks, we talk about how to do something fun with your data, predict the future, look at registration data, all that fun sort of stuff should be at your fingertips. Well, talk is enough. Let's see what this looks like in action. So I'm sharing my screen now. You should see the Acumen Pulse report. If you don't, somebody holler at me. But what I want to show is just a very few couple screens here of the software, because for me, analytics is all about visualizing it. Think about getting ready for that big executive meeting, right? We have to pull multiple reports from different places. The Pulse report is everything you need in one spot. These are the 6 pillars or KPIs that my association manages to, and I need to know what's going on with each one of these things, right? So in membership, how many members do we have? In events, what's going on with those events? We pay a lot for that online community. Are people even using that thing? I've never logged in, right? Something we talk about a lot is like email marketing. We made a commitment to send less emails that are more targeted. Are we actually doing that? Are we sending more or less emails? And what is the trend over time? Are we getting more or less people to open those emails? For our membership professionals out there, creating insights that you can actually use to take action. So if we're looking at a membership dashboard, we might want to know some basics like how many members do we have? How does that data change over time? When do we get new members or when do they leave? But we also want to use that to create insights like, what is my retention rate? Right? We talked about a lot of things we can get our members to do today. Do getting members to do those things actually change my retention rate? Right? If people go onto our LMS and take courses, does that change their retention rate? What if we get them across the line and get certified? Does that change our retention rate? Right? Looking at those behaviors that members are doing and seeing how they're impacting our business metrics that we're measuring on a regular basis. Now you can easily go in here and start looking at it yourself, but we can also help build models that'll figure this out for you as well. So here's a model that's going to predict member retention. And the way we're doing this is looking at all of your data, right? What are the things a member can do or we can track on them that might have a positive impact on retention or a negative impact? And using this data to predict out this year, who are the members who are highly likely to renew and who are the members that aren't very much likely to renew? Now, the takeaway here is focusing on the middle. These are what we call the changeables, right? If we're going to spend more money on marketing, who should we market our membership to? It's people right here in the middle. At this point in my presentation, you're probably thinking, that sounds really great, Greg, but my data is not that clean. I don't have all those insights I'm looking for. We got to start there. And you're right. So we want to do data quality projects with you, right? Helping as we implement the software to visualize your data, to understand where is your data clean and you can really use it. Where is your data dirty and we need to clean it up? Or what data are you missing? And where do we need to go and close the gap for that data? I got 1 or 2 more minutes here, so I want to skip ahead to one of the most exciting things I think we do is engagement scoring. And the idea is understanding what activities are in your value proposition and how do members engage with those. Creating a profile for every member where we can see exactly how engaged John is, right? As a person, how engaged is John and what has he done with us? But also for our friends at trade associations, this is the thing they love the most, is the ability to roll all of those member activities up into one profile for an organization. So if you're an organization, how engaged is that organization, right? Measuring large staff versus small staff, looking at all the behaviors of not only the organization, but also the individuals, right? Who are all the people that work for this company and how engaged are all of those people? So we can start using this data to understand what in our value proposition really moves the needle, who's engaging with us or not, what does a journey look like for a highly successful member? And I think this member engagement scorecard, a lot of our existing partners use this for renewal, right? So when I send you that renewal notice, here's why you should renew with my association. I can also back it up, right? And say, this is the value you got out last year. Kevin, this is the reason you're renewing, because all these members of your team did all this great stuff with us. So I know I talked about a lot of stuff really quick there, but the main takeaway I want you to have is the data you already have has tremendous insights in it. We can unlock those insights by pulling that data into a centralized repository, cleaning up and transforming the data, and ultimately helping you visualize that data. So as you go to make decisions, you're not guessing using your gut. You're able to make data-informed decisions because all the insights you need are a click away. It's easy to use. You just look at the picture and click on it, and you'll be able to get the insight you're looking for. So I know we have a few minutes left. If anybody has any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat for us.
That was great, Greg. As people think about their questions, all of my clients have an AMS and have all the reports built. So what's different here?
Yeah, Kevin, great question. I think this is a challenge we run into is all systems have reports out of the box and they give us a piece of the truth, right? I can see what's going on in one spot, but it's hard for us to really get in there and do data exploration where we're clicking around, we're asking new questions on a regular basis, and we're blending all that data together. We brought a partner on earlier this year and he said, the reports I got in my AMS were the ones we installed when we got it 5 years ago. And some of them I trust and some of them I don't, but they don't tell the full story. There's got to be a better way to access this data. And he said it saves his team 5 hours a week just in running reports, putting in Excel, manipulating things. Like it's all at his fingertips. He doesn't have to do that anymore because he can just click on the data when he has a new question.
Great. And, looking at your software and even your background there, is this like a Qlik or a Tableau, a Power BI thing? What's happening?
Yeah, great question. So we didn't reinvent the wheel when it comes to visualizations. We're using Power BI as our visualization tool. The challenge is if you just buy Power BI, you're getting a blank sheet of paper, right? And you have to figure out what am I going to build and how does all that work? As a partner, we have all that figured out for you and we can just plug in sort of the best in breed solution for associations. That same partner we brought in earlier said, I hired a consultant and I bought Tableau. And it took me 5 months to explain to them what renewal was and how grace period works and what retention rate analysis is. He's like, the great thing about you guys is you looked at my data and you said, here's how your renewals work. We've configured it for you. And he's like, that's the benefit of working with you is you and your team understand associations and how to best leverage their data.
Okay, great. We work with lots of different customers, and sometimes, maybe more often than not, we take a peek in their data and it's a mess, right? There's duplicates, there's missing information, there's incomplete information, information is old. So do organizations need to prep before they use a tool like yours, or could a tool like yours help with these data challenges? What's your advice there?
Kevin, that's a great question. And I think this is one of those hesitations people see when they see the software and I show it to them. And they go, that looks really cool, but I don't think our data supports that model, or we don't have all those insights, right? The path towards data analytics includes those things. So as we're implementing you, we're looking at your data. We're helping shine a flashlight on it. I often think about fixing your data without a visualization tool. It's really cleaning your closet with the lights off, right? You don't know where things are, where you're supposed to put them, right? Our job is to help shine a light on that closet. And so you can actually see everything for the first time and seeing how it works. And a lot of times people will tell us, hey, this is how our renewal process works. And we'll look at the data and we'll say, that's actually not what's happening. This other thing's happening, right? Tell us what you want your visualizations to look like, because we can build them to your business rules. But I think that's a big impediment to people pushing forward with this, is they see the challenges in their data and that stops them. Data analytics involves the process of fixing those challenges, of cleaning up the data and helping you understand you have a lot more data you're not leveraging than the data you're missing, right? We all see the data we'd like to have, but what we fail to realize is you have a tremendous amount of data already. You're sitting on a gold mine of insights. It's just hard to get at it through your existing reports.
That's great. Any other more questions for Greg in Association Analytics? All right, great. Well, Greg, thanks again for that awesome presentation. And we're going to move on to our next guest presenter. Thanks everyone for staying with us and asking questions in the chat. So it's been very active, so good to see all that. So next we have Danny Langon, President, and Melissa Miller, Principal Consultant with Intellidata. And they're going to share how to tell a story written in your data. So this should be another great presentation. So I'll turn it over to you, Denny and Melissa.
Thank you, Kevin. Really appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right, let me share my screen really quick. Good afternoon, everyone. First of all, big shout out to thank you to Kevin, Sherry, and Dawn Marie for having us. And actually, it's great having presented this event with a bunch of different, great partners that know what they're doing. So today we're going to talk about how to tell a story written in your data. But before that, let me do a quick introduction. My name is Daniel Lenkong, as Kevin said. I'm a president of Intellidata. I'm here with my colleague Melissa Miller, who's a principal consultant and a VI expert for our in our group. So, quick introduction of our company. Who are we? We are a data analytics company with nationwide clientele. We're specializing in association and profits. Our staff have an average about 15 years experience in association and profits, and with that experience, we're able to listen to our clients' needs and challenges, and we offer them custom solutions instead of a cookie cutter solution. So we listen, with that, we can offer them solution that fits their needs and also their budget. Because as you know, budget's everything, and some can afford some expensive software, some are not. But so that's why we offer custom solutions that meet everybody's budget. So what do? We do a data analytics, of course, just by looking at our name. We do data cleanup. We do a lot of data conversion and migration. What it is we're helping our clients moving their data from one AMS to another. Last year, I think we did about 6 to 8 clients who are moving from one system to another. So when we do that, we help them clean their data, help them map all the data. So when they move to a new AMS, it's a fresh, it's a brand new, it's a good, as what they say in the industry, garbage in, garbage out, right? So you don't want to bring your garbage from your old house to a new house. So and in addition to that, we have we do custom reports for dashboard development, and we also do some trainings on some of the data visualization tool. Here are some of the clients that we work with. These are just a few. And as you can see, we work with a wide variety of clients, from medical society to auto care and to the Chamber of Commerce, right? And here are some of the system that we integrate. This is just a few. We integrate with a bunch of different stuff, bunch of different system, but these are just a few. Last but not least, before I hand it off to Melissa, these are some of our service and products that we offer. We offer data analytics services. Again, we come into come to you, help figure out what you need, what your challenges are. Like I said before, try to come up with the custom solution for you guys. And also, if you prefer our product, we have a constituent insight, which is our data warehouse product. And we also have our IntelliSight, which is our predictive analytics product that can help you predict what a member is likely to do, whether they're likely to renew their membership, how likely they are to attend a meeting, and so on and so forth. With that said, I am going to pass it on to Melissa. Melissa is going to tell us. Oops, hang on. Melissa is going to tell us how to, how to tell a story within your data. Go ahead, Melissa.
Thanks, guys. Here, let me share this. If anybody can't see my screen, please let me know. Today, we're going to look at a financial story that is based on work we created for a client, which today I'm going to call American Professional Association. This dashboard has obviously been scrubbed just to protect their privacy. So APA had a really inconsistent track record with budgeting and projections of revenue. And so they decided that the best predictor of their future was to really understand their past. So we really needed to dig in and display their data in such a way that a human being could look at it and take insights out of their data. In addition to that, they wanted to be able to see trends in their data and to be able to show those pieces really quickly and easily to people who may not understand, finances on a really deep level, which included their board of directors. So the most fundamental anecdote in this story of finances is obviously profit. I'm going to click this button here to go to our profit screen. As you can see, this allows people to see their profit over a time period. I can drill in and out and view, just 1 year. I can do a control click and view multiple years. In this case, I think it's a great thing to be able to see over a longer period of time, because what you'll see as you look at this is that every year APA loses money in March. If I'm at APA, I might say, I just want to look at March. And when you do that, you'll see that their deficits were decreasing annually. But now, starting in 2020, 2021, they are having higher deficits again. And so the leadership team really decided to look into that. And what they found is that because a large percentage of their membership, they're accountants, and March is a really busy tax season, and they're not interested in going to classes. They don't want to do fundraising campaigns or really anything new. They really just want to get through in March. And so the leadership team looked at that data and they said, what can we do in February? What events can we hold that would help our accountant clients get ready for their busy season and really gear up? And then in addition to that, they're actually going to be doing social events at the end of April. So APA decided, March is a given. We are going to lose money in March. How can we build up around that to really serve our members during that time and use their busy season to cement their membership with us? In addition to that, they started thinking, should we try and diversify our member types to where maybe we don't lose money in March? So they were able to look in this insight and see just at a glance, what can we do and where can we go from here? So as I mentioned, the leadership team is also, they're not just interested in profits, they're interested in budget as well. And so if you were to hover on any one of these time periods, you can view the profit against budget for that particular time period. I'm also able to drill up to the year level or back down to the month level. And if I wanted to, I could export this data to give to my board of directors or to put on a PowerPoint slide. The other thing that's built into this, obviously this right here is an anomaly, and turns out that they were late getting invoicing out in August and revenue recognition, and it all came in September. But if I was curious as to why this happened, I could right click on my revenue line and drill through to the revenue detail. And this will show me revenue by category in addition to what's the budget and what is my variance. So I could look at the revenue side and use this back button to go back to the previous screen. I could do the same thing on the expense side and see what are my expenses for that particular month as compared to budget. And again, I have this back button to get back to the previous screen. So you can see that we're able to, in a very small space, congregate a lot of pertinent detail and present it in a way that a human being can digest it. Now, profitability has the advantage of being something that's generally well understood by most people. If I click this home button, I can then go to my deferred revenue, which is much more cloudy to people who are not financially savvy. So a few years ago, APA converted from a cash basis accounting system to an accrual system. And while the leadership team, they understood what that meant from a definitional standpoint, they wanted to understand how the money moved through their deferral accounts. This view allows them to see the change in any given period. Now, this is a little busy, so we're going to look at one particular year. And we can see that at the beginning of the period that I just chose, there were $10 million in their deferral accounts. It increased steadily through March, at which point revenue recognition started to outpace new invoices, new deferrals, and the balance started going back down to end at $11 million. You can see if I were to hover, I can see the actual numbers here. You'll also notice the inverse relationship between revenue and deferred revenue. And this visual really brought home to the leadership team, that relationship that as revenue gets recognized, deferrals go down, revenue goes up. Now, I could use the home button here again. I can also navigate on the left, returning to the original question. I'm going to look at the budgeting screen. And this screen will show revenue against budget, and then what's the variance between revenue and budget, and then averages over here if we're looking at multiple years. So after APA realized that their March slump was due to matters outside of their control, they were able to adjust their budgeting going forward, and they're focusing much more on the recovery after that slump in March. And the other thing they noticed was their overall variance for the year is actually not bad. They're pretty close, but their monthly variances are just wild in comparison to overall. So they're working on shrinking these monthly variances by looking at the data over the long haul. So if I look at every, February, I can see, what is my typical revenue in February? What was my budget over time, and try and refine that down based on market factors and everything else that I'm taking into account as well. You'll also notice that over here on the left, there are a lot more slices to this puzzle that we worked on with APA, including the ability to ask a question of the data that wasn't particularly defined. So if I'm in the leadership team and I say, well, what about XYZ? I can come in here and just ask the system, and it's going to use the model behind this to answer the question for them. But unfortunately, we're running out of time to go through the rest of these. We're happy to meet with someone and show them the rest if anybody is interested.
Thanks, Melissa and Danny. Again, the audience, you want to enter your question in the Q&A, and we'll monitor that. And in the meantime, a couple questions that did come in. On the dashboard, you're showing us with these colors, the logo. How personalized or how customized can that be? Like, can we put my logo or my color scheme in?
Oh, absolutely. It's actually really simple. So what we just ask for is some kind of branding guide and logo files, and we can absolutely make this look internal as far as your brand is concerned.
Okay, great. And then all of that, what if analysis you were showing us, how many data sources is behind that generating all those dashboards?
So in this case, it's two. We have the accounts receivable system and then the accounting system, which holds both expenses and budgeting data.
Okay.
But honestly, there's not really a limit. So Power BI, what is behind this dashboard, is very powerful in pulling from a lot of different systems. It's almost agnostic as far as that's concerned.
Okay, great. Just checking the chat here. All right. This was really great. Any other questions for our guests today? All right. Well, if you want to find out more information about Intellidata or the other vendors we have seen today, again, another resource for you is solutions.orgcommunity.com. You can see their product downloads, videos, case studies, even requests for demo. So we visit that site. You can quickly search any one of our guest speakers today, and you'll see more detail about the services and software they offer to their clients. Thanks again.
Thanks, Kevin.
Great. Next, I want to bring up Jeff Horn. He's the CEO and co-founder of Wicket. And Jeff is going to walk us through Wicket, which is the world's first member data platform.
Awesome. Thanks, Kevin. So happy to be here, and I'm just going to pull up my my slides here. Yeah, awesome to be here. Awesome to hear from so many great vendors. Folks we work with, like Greg and the team at Association Analytics, and just other really fantastic products. So it's great to be here and to have the opportunity to talk to you today about a member data platform, which for a lot of you will be a term for a software platform that perhaps is new to you. I'm Jeff Horn. As Kevin mentioned, I'm the co-founder and CEO here at Wicket. So I'm going to give you an introduction today to what a member data platform is, and then I'm going to show you, with the time we have, just a really quick demo of how a member data platform works and how it can work for you. So at Wicket, we really have reinvented how associations manage and connect your membership data, right? So we really are not an association management software system or an AMS. We're not a CRM either, or a customer relationship management system. We're kind of in between, and we're filling an interesting gap in the market and working with real forward-thinking associations who are looking at a different approach from the traditional approach of using AMS systems as an example for how they think about managing their overall approach to data and software. So why build a member data platform? Why have a product like this? Well, I've been working in the association sector for about 25 years now in the software technology realm, and what we were hearing over and over was that, as much as the AMS and sometimes a CRM has been kind of the standard for associations as the hub of their membership data, that it's flawed overall in a few different ways. And the one way is just by packing so many modules and so much features into one system, it makes for large, complex software. And oftentimes, as large as they are, those individual modules within the AMS just aren't really meeting the needs. So that often results in frustration, and having to go out and find other software tools that are going to start, giving you the depth of functionality you might need in one functional area of your organization. It's much easier to acquire software today than it was 5-10 years ago. You can just go point and click and acquire software. And as you do that, you start to get data silos across the organization. And data silos are a problem because they're inefficient. You have to physically move data around. But the bigger problem there is it erodes trust in your data. When you look at your data in any one system, can you really trust that it's up to date? And the reason that's been a challenge is just that integrating your data, your rich membership data, within the ecosystem of software tools you're using typically hasn't been the best experience for most associations. Either it's more costly or more complicated, or sometimes just doesn't work the way you want it to. So The idea of a member data platform was born out of those challenges we were seeing and really wanting to bring just a different approach to associations for how they might think about just this entire world of software and data. And really, it's what it's now commonly referred to is the ecosystem approach. So you may hear, out there in the association world, people talking about, using the ecosystem approach. And we really see our role at Wicked is to help lead this movement towards using an ecosystem approach of software. And really what it is from our view, there's a few different pillars to an ecosystem approach. It's having a data hub, and this is really Wicked's role in the ecosystem, is to have a hub that's going to store your data, but is very integration centric and very integration friendly. From there, it's leveraging e-commerce software. So instead of having an AMS or a CRM or something trying to do transactions, use good e-commerce software. It's what it's built to do. And we really, really believe in this model. From there, use good modern financial management software, ideally SaaS-based. There's lots of great solutions out there, and connect your e-commerce system. And then lastly, just across your organization, regardless of the size of your organization, empower your staff to use the best in need software tools to meet their unique needs, okay? So as the member data platform, our role isn't to do all of that within the ecosystem, it's to play that role as the data hub and the connector. And so I'll talk you through just a few of the points before I jump into the platform itself. So first and foremost, we want to be your membership database. So we want to store all the people, all the organizations and companies, all the groups, all that rich data, members and not. We want to store that in Wicked, and we want to be that hub. It's where staff are going to log in to update data, to see data, and really be that hub, that one-stop shop, for that rich membership data. From there, we're very uniquely built to integrate. Our entire platform is built to integrate. So we want you to use other software. Go use it and let us connect that rich data in Wicked to those other systems that you're using. And we can help you to make those connections and manage those integrations. Just go use great software though. Through those integrations, we record what we call touch points back into the member records in Wicked. So the touch points are essentially telling the journey of the user as they interact with you. They register for an event, they access your online community, they complete a course in one of the LMSs we saw this morning. So really, we want that full journey of the member to be recorded back into Wicked. We want to enable commerce, but we're not a commerce system ourselves. And this is what makes us very different from other systems in the sector. Really, we want you to use good commerce software. One of our favorites is WooCommerce, which is the e-commerce platform built on top of WordPress. We see this very common now of standing up Wicked and a system like WooCommerce beside it. But use good commerce software that can really deliver a very modern, powerful commerce experience for your members and non-members alike. And then lastly, we want to unify your members' experience. We mainly do this by providing a single sign-on engine. So we have a standards-based SSO engine that allows your members or your customers or whoever you interact with to have just one login. And we're going to power that login that's going to allow them to access any of the tools you're using, your LMS, your website, your online community, just one login that's going to allow your members to access all those different things. So that's the overview. So it's introducing this new concept to you of a member data platform and how it might work. But of course, it's much more fun to see it, right? So I'll take you in the bit of time we have just through an overview of Wicked and our administrative interface. And then as time allows, I'll show you how an integration might work and how we move data between systems. Now, overall with Wicked, as you'll see from this interface, this is our administrative interface. This is for staff. Your member would never see this interface. This is for you as association staff. You're going to log in and you're just going to be able to quickly and easily find any person, any organization, any group. And really that's the goal, ease of use. You don't need weeks of training to use a platform like this. It's just get in, use it, get at the data as quickly as you possibly can. So I'll just go into people, and instead of filtering down, I'm just going to search for a record here. So I'll look at my friend here, Greg Hoffman, and I'll just slide open the panel. So with a person record in Wicked, we store a whole bunch of information, just like on an organization record, we store a whole bunch of information. in a nutshell, we obviously have like a core profile, right? So this is just core data about the person. It's all the things you'd expect. When were they born? What's their gender? What's their pronoun? What type of person are they? What's their job function? All these things. That's just kind of structured data we want to store. And of course, as an administrator, you could come in here and manage this and save those details, and away you go. All the contact information. So it's just, you know, that core hub of core contact data is going to be stored in Wicket. But also, of course, we understand membership. And this is where we're very different from a traditional CRM, let's say, is that membership is at the core of our product, and we understand membership on both people and on organizations or companies, whichever word you want to use. So I, as a person, can have membership in Wicket. I can have a whole history of membership in Wicket, or I can be, as a person, granted membership through an affiliate to an organization that holds membership. So Wicket is used by both trade associations and professional associations and societies and hybrids, and it works very well for all of those types of organizations in the way we track membership. We also have an extended custom field system that's very unique to each of our customers. It answers the question, well, what's all the other data you want to store about the people or about the organizations that you're storing and managing? These can be exposed out into a website for users to self-serve, all kinds of different things. And then things like relationships, and relationships are connectors to people or other organizations, or communication preferences or email messages. These are all things that we store in Wicket, but I won't jump into all those details today. What I will show you is touch points. And so touch points are a really rich piece of data that we store in Wicket. Touch points, as I mentioned earlier, they tell the journey of the user, right? So here we can see that, you know, Greg, if I go to the next screen here, an account was created last May, and then he made a purchase through WooCommerce in this case, and he purchased a membership. So the commerce system sold the membership, and it then told Wicket, hey, this person bought a membership, so let's grant membership to that organization. Let's associate Greg with that membership, and let's write this touch point. And the touch point becomes a link out to WooCommerce, where now as an admin, if I need to dive deeper into this transaction, I can jump out to the commerce system. From there, we can see that a MailChimp email campaign was triggered saying, hey, welcome to your membership. And then we can see that Greg actually opened that email. So you get the idea. As we start to look here at the touch points, we're seeing a journey, right? They completed a survey. Maybe they completed a course in our learning management system. Maybe we want to record just the fact that we had a conversation with Greg on the phone and record some details. So the touch points become just this really rich data set. So if Greg called in as a member and it's like, hey, you know, I'm having a problem or I've got a question, the first thing you'd want that member support person to do is come into Wicket, look the person up, see the journey they've been on, and then you're going to be able to have a much more effective discussion with them to help solve any problems they might be having. Now, we also in Wicket store organizations, and we can filter those down as well and go through that. And then we also store groups. So groups typically would be things like your committees and your working groups. And the idea of a group really is to say, what people are in this group, in what role, for what period of time, right? So it allows you to track current and historical group membership. And really, it's just another piece of data that from a Wicket standpoint, we can allow you to report off of, but we can also integrate with other systems. Maybe you have an online community running on HireLogic or Tradewing or something, and if someone's active in a group in Wicket, we want them active in that group in your online forum or in your website. So again, Wicket's really built to be that hub for that really rich data that you're collecting in a really easy to use interface to allow you to access it. And I like to use, just in closing, I was going to show an integration, but we don't really quite have time today. But in closing, I like to use the iceberg analogy when describing Wicket. And you know, really the concept there is that what you saw in that administrative interface is what's out of the water, right? So it's kind of like the head that's out of the water. It's what you can see. But underneath that is this incredibly powerful technology platform that is built to not only allow you to manage that data, but allow your data to be connected with other systems and do all kinds of interesting things. So I'll stop there. And I see at least one question has come in there, Kevin.
Yeah, this is great. You know, just listening to your presentation and, you know, working with all of my association customers, how do we know if the organization is an ideal fit for the ecosystem approach?
Yeah, great question, Kevin. And I think what we see most often, it's an association, and it can be of any size, right? From volunteer-based to hundreds of staff, but typically they've been through one or more AMS implementations, and they're really looking for an alternative. So it's kind of at that point of frustration of not wanting to go do the same thing again, and already embracing other software across the organization. The marketing people are already using a good email marketing system. They've got a great website. They've got an LMS that's being used, all kinds of different tools, and they really just need that strong data hub and maybe a good commerce solution, to kind of round it all out.
Okay. And we got a question from Chris V. Wondering what the licensing model is. Is it on a per user, per integration? What does that look like?
Yeah, for sure. So there's a couple different components to the way we license the product. The first is what we call a base license fee, and that's based on the number of unique person records we're going to store on the platform. So it might be up to 50,000, or it might be up to 100,000 or 200,000, whatever it might be. So that forms a base, and then it's a per integration fee on top of that for each integration that we're going to manage on behalf of our customer. It's a whole separate stream of discussion around, are we managing the integration for the customer or not? Typically we are, just to make that integration process easier. But some customers that have their own IT department, a data group, they might choose to actually just be able to, go use an integration platform as a service, like an iPaaS tool, and manage those integrations on their own, which we're then just kind of hands-free from.
Okay. And is there a sweet spot in terms of size of an organization that would be leveraging a member data platform? What are you seeing there?
Yeah, it's really interesting, Kevin. Like, we really work with organizations of all sizes. We're implementing right now for an organization that has no staff, all volunteers. And then we have up to organizations that have hundreds of staff. So it's really more about, where is that organization at and what's its goals? And can we make the platform work for them? So it's typically more organizations, regardless of size, that are already embracing that kind of best-in-class software approach and using a variety of tools and really want to tie it all together. So the idea is that we can work across size organization.
Great, thanks. Any other questions? And again, feel free to type in your question and we'll get it to Jeff. And Jeff, thank you so much for your presentation.
Awesome, thanks. Great to be here.
Yep. Great. Next, I want to welcome Patrick Dorsey. He's the Senior Vice President of Marketing, and Jason Vance, Director of Solutions Engineering, with one of our newest partners, Impexium. And Patrick and Jason, they're going to be asking if you are ready to make the hard things easier with a smarter, simpler way to manage membership. I always like making things easier, so definitely going to be listening in on this one.
Thanks, Kevin. Let's give us a minute while we start from the set up the screen. There we go. So thank you. We'll just start right now. Thanks. I'm joined. My name is Patrick Dorsey, and I'm joined today with my colleague Jason Vance. We're excited to share with you today Impexium. Get to know a little bit more about our smarter, simpler membership management, and specifically how to make the hard things easier. So let's just jump in. As I mentioned, I'm the Vice President, or Kevin mentioned, I'm the Senior Vice President of Marketing in Impexium, and I've been fortunate to be in the association space for approximately 20 years. And in that time, I've worn many hats, right? I've been part of the sales and marketing team. I've been part of an account management team. I've implemented AMSs. And now, as the head of Impexium's marketing department, I work with a lot of associations like yours to help them better understand and leverage tools and the services they need to achieve how they define membership success. Jason and I work combined as part of the Impexium, as part of members of the Impexium product marketing team. So we're constantly looking at different ways that we can provide that innovation, if you will. We can provide smarter tools, better services to enable our clients in the association world to better leverage technology to achieve their goals. Jason will be joining us today, or feel free to ask any questions, and Jason will be managing the chat log, and we'll be going back and forth in today's presentation. So who we are, what is Impexium, and who is Bill Highway? So Impexium is part of the Bill Highway family. For those of you that aren't familiar with Bill Highway, they offer a chapter management solution that helps organizations increase ROI across their entire organization by better leveraging their chapter resources, by providing the technology tools that help chapters perform, as well as delivering various levels of member engagement and component performance data at the national level. And for over 2 years, they've been providing chapter and financial management solutions to associations, fraternal orgs, and labor unions. Impexium was acquired by Bill Highway just over about 18 months ago. And from day one, we've been committed to leveraging a lot of that great chapter management and financial management technology into Impexium, right? To basically strengthen our core AMS, allow organizations to, if you will, extend that AMS capabilities across their entire ecosystem to drive additional revenue opportunities, recruitment, retention opportunities as well. So we're very excited to share with you a little bit more about Impexium's AMS and how we solve those solutions for the association world. So let's keep moving forward. As I mentioned, Impexium offers two basically association solutions. We have our AMS, our membership management. We help associations like transform their business by enabling staff and members to work with the latest technologies and conveniences they expect from the profit sector. And as I mentioned, Bill Highway's chapter management solution. But today we're going to focus specifically on our AMS. And a lot of people say, what makes Impexium unique? You know, there's a lot of great solutions out there, obviously, from a technology standpoint of managing your members, different slices depending on what you're looking for, and what makes Impexium unique. And we're going to talk a little bit about the Impexium and Microsoft, that shared vision, that relationship that we're able to leverage from a lot of the Microsoft tools and innovations to help Impexium stand out and to help our clients better serve their members. Impexium is uniquely positioned like no other AMS in the market today because we allow our customers not only to leverage that entire suite of applications within the AMS, but also to build upon that with the entire suite of the Microsoft ecosystem, of those tools and services that leverage them the way Microsoft envisioned. So let me explain. When you think about that ecosystem, we're going to start with that core AMS, right? And Impexium includes all those modules that you need to run your system on a day-to-day basis. Membership, the e-commerce, the events, accounting, education, fundraising, you name it. We have all the applications that you need. We can personalize that for each organization or bring it down to the role level as well. But then we really can extend the solution even more so to address those ever-changing needs of your organization. When you think about the Office 365 suite, leveraging Outlook, we have some clients that spend their entire day in Outlook, but they're able to access data within Impexium from a communication standpoint. When you think about collaboration tools, we are able to integrate with Teams, so you're able to take advantage of all that Teams offer and not necessarily leave the Impexium ecosystem as well. And then you get into the Power Platform, right? You have Power Automate, Power BI, right? And we're really going to be able to extend the solution to provide, if you will, efficiency, more staff effectiveness in leveraging that data, right? And of course, then you get down to like forward-thinking AI, machine learning, and cognitive services. It really gets exciting because we're going to take that AMS experience to that next level. And when you really think about all of these powerful tools that are available from a scalability and extensibility solution, it really allows you to work where you're working, you know, from the Office 365 standpoint. It really allows you to take what's important and better manage that and analyze it from a data perspective, from a reporting analytics standpoint, and really extend your solution from that standpoint. When you think about Power BI, it's that data-driven culture that we've heard a lot about today. We're sitting on this, if you will, wealth of data. How do we make sense of it? How do we use it to make it actionable? And we'll talk about that a little more in a few slides as well. But really, when you think about this Microsoft tools, right, you don't necessarily need a centralized IT department, right? You have that no-code modules that allow you to enhance the solution. It provides a better cost analysis from an ROI standpoint as well. So when people ask me, like, why do people choose Impexium, right? I'm going to break it down to kind of two key points, right? When you think about that Impexium AMS and the extensibility of that Microsoft ecosystem, we're bringing a low code, no code development workflow and those business intelligent tools to associations. And what it really allows them to do is not just improve those business outcomes, but to streamline operations, reduce costs, but it really limits the need to use that big, expensive SaaS platforms and solutions to deal with those small everyday problems, right? Because people want to work smarter. They don't necessarily want to work harder. They don't necessarily want to rely on IT to help them manage their software, right? We want to focus on managing our members, and we're able to do that. We're able to maximize the value that they are achieving with other Microsoft solutions. We're able to drive those business outcomes that define their success as well. A second reason is it allows them to gain that competitive edge by linking all of your data. If you've been on today's presentation, you've heard data is a key theme across a varieties of these platforms, right? And Impexium is going to allow you to use the data that you already own. And we break that down into kind of three key things: analyze, act, and automate. You want to have the ability to analyze the data you've collected. You're going to take actions with the data you have, as well as the results from that analysis. And you want to be able to automate that data flow as well. That's going to provide more staff efficiency, as well as build a better member experience for your members and for your prospects, as well as your partners. So we work hard from an AMS standpoint to make sure that not only that we're helping you capture that data, but it's certainly that it's actionable as well, and that it fits into your day-to-day business operations. So let's take a look at Impexium and better understand, where we are at the core AMS. And we can talk about all the different modules that are available. I put them all on the screen. Certainly in today's modern AMS world, you need to be mobile friendly as well. We're cloud-based, so we're going to look at that from that perspective, but we can really personalize the system. You can break out these modules and basically have a lot of role-based experience. You don't need to have them all on the screen. We can break it down from a membership standpoint, from the C-suite standpoint, maybe finance and accounting, and limit who has access to what data as well. And it really streamlines that experience. So it's very contextual from the role standpoint as well. When we talk about all the apps, right? Again, we're able to look at from the customers to the chapters that we're managing the day-to-day operations of your organization, but you're going to have that flexibility to necessarily limit the screen of what is important to you, what's important to me versus Jason versus Kevin versus Sherry. And we're going to be able to personalize that experience from an AMS standpoint. So again, that you're focused on only the apps and the data that are relevant to your job. And we're going to extend that all the way through the AMS from a reporting and analytics standpoint as well. So let's talk about the core AMS, right? When you think about from an individual or an organization profile, Impexium works well with those professional societies as well as those trade organizations. But to make that data effective, we need to have a clean presentation of all of that data. So when you look at this individual profile, we're going to include all the relevant information that we need to manage that data. So I see that Jack right away is what company he's with. I see his engagement score. I see what type of membership he is, how long he's been a member, and when that membership is up for renewal. I'm going to see a list of activities that are on Jack's record. And all of these allow me to click through or drill down into the organization or into his profile to better understand that critical data that defines Jack as well. When we think about from an organization standpoint, it's a very similar experience, right? We're going to have all that critical information about an organization right at our fingertips. We're going to have an engagement score from all the individuals or if you will, entities within that organization and how they roll up. And we can break it down into separate entities as well. So we have a lot of flexibility on how we want to manage and display that data from both an individual and an org standpoint. And of course, we can take a lot of action from these screens as well. When you think about, we have unpaid balances, or if there's certain activity streams, we can see the shopping. So right away, we have this wealth of information that are available. Impexium also includes unlimited, if you will, fields in the sense of we can capture data that are important to both the individual and orgs, and all those custom fields are equally reportable on from a query and reporting standpoint as well. So you have a lot of flexibility on how you want to manage those individuals and orgs, as well as the relationships between individuals and orgs, one-to-one or one-to-many. It's really one of the strengths when you think about how we manage our trade organizations. It gives us a lot of flexibility there as well from the client standpoint. Of course, we can't think about the AMS without considering like, what's the member experience, right? So we've built a lot of tools in there that allow staff to build that efficiency and that effectiveness. But again, from the member experience, you're going to be able to build that member portal that's going to allow from an e-commerce standpoint to necessarily display events, create those microsites, if you will, from a chapter standpoint, all the way down to microsites from an event standpoint, as well as providing individuals and orgs the self-service they need for their members to have access to the data, to update their data. Maybe they will need to download certain certificates. Maybe they need to upload information regarding certain certifications as well. We're going to provide all of that data. It's easy to use, drag and drop functionality. You don't necessarily need to hire third-party consultants to have access to all this data. Again, we want to empower our staff to be able to configure the system in a way that's beneficial for both the staff from a reporting standpoint, as well as their members and prospective members as well. Again, a key theme, we can't talk about the modern AMS, right, without dashboards. We've seen it in many of today's presentations, right? And again, because we want to be able to have access to this data, we want to be data-driven. From the Impexium standpoint, we want to democratize that data. We want everybody in the organization to have access to information that they need to drive decisions or outcomes that are critical to the success of their organization. So we have, like everyone else, we're going to have drag and drop queries. We're going to have the baseline reports, but it's really these data visualizations that really bring this data to life, because they tell the story about what you need to do to achieve those outcomes. The baseline reports are great. They're fine for accounting. They really tell you what you needed to do after the fact, where we can make some real-time decisions from the analytics standpoint to better understand what we need to do to improve that member experience, to drive retention, recruitment, registration, if you will, drive the revenue outcomes that we need that will define the success of our organization. And when you think about like the future, right, the future is here now, right? We're able to take a lot from that Microsoft standpoint. We're able to leverage the AI builder within the Power Apps so that we can automate, make a lot of things predictable in the standpoint of managing our data, right? So we're going to better understand who might necessarily is at risk from a retention standpoint, what members are at risk, or what members registered for last year's event and haven't registered for this year's event. What can we do from a predictive standpoint to push them in the right direction to register, to maybe offer them new products or products that similar individuals or organizations purchased as well. So again, leveraging that Microsoft ecosystem, we're able to make the system even smarter, if you will, even simpler from the standpoint of managing that data and improving that member experience. And again, a lot of us today are talking about great technology, right? And we understand there's a lot of different options out there. But let's also talk about the training and adoption, right? Because it's one thing to purchase software. It's another thing to make sure you're leveraging it to the best of your abilities to achieve that ROI, right? From the Impexium standpoint, we employ this continuous learning framework, right? We're going to deploy, succeed, and repeat. I was just on the phone with an organization earlier today. Great news. They're looking to add 10 staff over the course of this year as the economy opens up. And they wanted to talk about what are the training options that are available for them to onboard those new staff, right? So we're going to look at training all the way from implementation to post go live and make sure that we're building the right framework so that you are better leveraging that technology to achieve your desired outcomes. It's going to enable faster deployment. It's going to improve productivity, and you're going to have a quicker ROI in terms of technology as well. One of the ways we're able to achieve that is the Impexium's Learning and Certification Hub, right? We provide training how you want it, when you need it. So each of your staff members can become certified in Impexium. We offer 100, 200, 300, 400 level courses. You can take those across all the different applications, or if you're just in the finance department, you can take just the accounting level courses and be certified from an Impexium accounting standpoint. It's a really exciting tool from onboarding new staff, as well as just a refresher class as well. And again, that complements a lot of the online training that's within the system, as well as live training that's available as well. one of the things I wanted to talk about, or I've mentioned today, is we're focused on the outcomes, right? And we surveyed our clients, and there were 3 things that they told us that they leveraged or they like most about Impexium. One, that Impexium allowed them to serve their members more intelligently, right? It allowed them to reduce costs through increased flexibility and configurability, and it created values, right? Members, customers, prospects, and staff, and more importantly, it enabled their business. It didn't become a hindrance of their business. And if you think about why they were moving from a new AMS to one, it's because they were looking for that value. How do we provide value to staff? How do we provide value to our members as well? So I did my best to run through that in a quick 10 minutes. At this point, I'll turn it over to Kevin and Sherry for any questions.
Thanks, Patrick. No, you did a good job. I know it's a short, quick, fast-paced session here. So again, I would encourage anyone who has any questions to put it in the chat, and we'll send those over to Patrick. Also, if you want to find out more information about Impexium, you can visit our Solutions Center at solutions.orgcommunity.com or go to impexium.com. And now I want to bring up our last presentation and want to introduce Collier Faban, Senior Sales Engineer, and Rob Banwar, Association Advocate at Nimble AMS, who will talk to us about Nimble AMS from Community Brands, the most trusted AMS on Salesforce.
Thanks, Kevin. How's everybody doing?
Good, thanks.
Lots of great demos. Come on, exciting stuff. Should we dig right in?
Yeah, go for it.
Awesome. All right. Well, so my name's Rob. I'm the Enterprise Sales Director here with Nimble AMS. I've been with our team for about 7 years, and I've built my career building solutions for nonprofits in the past with organizations like Apple and Salesforce. And I'm joined by my friend Collier.
Hey, everybody. I'm Collier, a Senior Solutions Engineer with Nimble AMS. I come to the association world after a 14-year tenure as a design and sales engineer in the aerospace industry, and just want to say thanks for having us today.
Awesome. Collier's the brainy one. So in the next 15 minutes, we're going to showcase what's awesome about Nimble AMS. There's a lot we can show you about Salesforce and Nimble AMS, so we're going to focus on the areas that customers love. And watch the chat. So not only can you ask questions, but we're going to do our best to share some great content through the presentation. But first, who's Community Brands? Community Brands has created a complete universe of industry-leading cloud-based solutions dedicated to associations, with products in event technology, learning management, and careers that are all complementary to our membership solutions. These suites of interrelated products are all designed to enhance your constituents' member journey with your association. And Nimble AMS is just a part of Community Brands. You know, Nimble AMS is positioned like no other AMS on the market today. Our customers get to leverage the entire suite of association products from Community Brands and then build upon it with the entire Salesforce ecosystem that's used by 93% of the Fortune 500 and most of the world's largest nonprofits, like the United Way, the Sierra Club, and the Girl Scouts. And as you can see on the bottom of this slide, Nimble AMS gives you the world's #1 CRM, reports, mobile, automation, and AI. In the middle, you'll see what we've added to the Salesforce platform needed to run an enterprise-level association. Things like accounting, membership, certification, fundraising, and more. And on the left and to the right, you see the full depth of having an AMS built on a CRM platform. On the right, Sales Cloud, Service Cloud, Marketing Cloud, all available on platform with Nimble AMS. Or on the left, you can shop the Salesforce app store with over 5,000 apps of pre-built integrations ready to integrate. All this is how you boost your ROI with a smarter AMS. Amazing member experiences and work that flows. Predictive analytics and continuous upgrades let you own your future. And yet when you work with an AI-powered AMS, your association thrives. Collier, you want to show them how?
Thanks, Rob. Let's do it. So with the #1 selling CRM in the world, Salesforce, we have tuned it for use with an association. An easy-to-use staff interface where everything about the association is centralized. We have pre-built home pages to highlight departmental key performance indicators, easy task and activity management, and even easy tools to chat and collaborate with coworkers directly on the records within the AMS. Nimble AMS comes with a suite of purpose-built apps based on departments or areas of focus. These include apps for things like accounting, membership, events, and more, bringing together all the tools you need to get your job done in one particular area. And you even have the ability to create your own apps, assembling the functions you need to run your association. Using Salesforce CRM's global search, navigating and finding records within Nimble AMS is just like using Google. You can search anything, and I mean literally anything, in Nimble AMS, whether it's a person's name or a street address, or even incredibly specific data like an invoice number or a couple of characters of a phone number. You can even use a keyword if you want. Finding your data in Nimble AMS is incredibly simple. One of my absolute favorite features, unintended, is the ability to make favorites in Nimble AMS. You can favorite anything from your most recent used reports or dashboards, account records that you go to often, or committees that you manage. Anything can be a favorite for quick and immediate access. And of course, every CRM needs beautiful and easy to read account pages, such as this one. In this example, I'm looking at a 360-degree view of an individual member. At the top, we have the headlines panel, where I can see the most important details about this person. The rest of the page gives me added details about their member journey, quick links to their history, or any demographics you may want to track about their members. And keep in mind, this entire page can be very easily configured to show you the most important information about your members with just a few clicks, no code required. Now let's jump from an individual to an organization or company account. You'll notice it has a very similar layout. Easy to see company attributes at the top, easy to view related historical records in the middle, and any sort of demographics at the bottom. On the right-hand side, we also have an easy to view roster of company branches or locations or individuals working at the company. There we go. You also have access to the easiest activity tracking of literally any AMS. Quick actions to log a call, send an email, create a task for follow-up, and more. It's really great how easy it is to visualize these activities down here on the bottom right in a timeline, so that it shows you not only what's now and upcoming, but a clear timeline of what activities have been done in the past for reference if you need to. And any modern AMS would not be complete without full mobile access. You have access to all of your AMS data, including reports, dashboards, anywhere, anytime, all from one app on any device. Rob, do you want to use this to tell us a little bit more about upgrades?
Had to unmute there. Building off of a modern Salesforce CRM platform allowed our solution to take a completely different approach on upgrades. You know, we hear it over and over again. When it comes to the upgrade approach for all the other AMSs on the market, the upgrades are painful. For a full decade, Nimble AMS has been the only association management platform on the market to consistently follow the seasonal release model of the #1 CRM platform, Salesforce. And now Nimble AMS has celebrated its 30th release. Not only that, that means 30 releases with 0 upgrades, with 0 issues caused by an upgrade for a customer, with $0 you had to pay for the upgrade to be applied, to be kept on the latest version. And speaking of that, I can't say this enough. There's one version of Nimble AMS, the current version. If your AMS has free upgrades, but everyone isn't on the same version, why not? No one uses the old version of Gmail or the old version of Facebook. Collier?
Thanks, Rob. Let's talk real quick about what comes along with Nimble AMS. We give you access to all Salesforce's powerful reporting tools, and Nimble AMS comes standard with hundreds of pre-built list views, queries, reports, and dashboards. You can use these out of the box, modify them for your specific rules, or using easy point and click wizards, create any reports that your association could possibly use. And we try to make it easy for you as well with each seasonal release that Rob just mentioned. Nimble AMS adds even more standard reports and dashboards to the user experience. In this particular example here, we're comparing member retention year over year, as well as budget reference to goal numbers. Real beautiful, real easy to use dashboards throughout the entirety of the AMS. Reports are just as easy, as you can see here. Clear results, active links to bring you right back to the records that you may want to view or update. In this example, on the far right, we're using a simple but powerful cross filter. Show me everyone registered for last year's meeting without a registration for this year's meeting. Very common thing we hear from a lot of our members. Easy tools for anyone on staff to get the data that they need to move the association forward. List view queries also give you quick access to data and records that you're working with. By making updates to them is actually even easier. In this example, all the attendees for a meeting that were registered, and I want to simply mark them as having attended. You can inline edit any individual record, but if I wanted to make multiple changes, select multiple records and update all of them at once. This sort of ease of use and functionality really just doesn't exist on older, more legacy AMSs. Reporting would not be complete without taking care of customer-facing reports. So a unique feature built in Nimble AMS is Nimble Create, a report and email templating tool purposely built, once again, for associations and their needs, all still within Salesforce. You can use Nimble Create for any of your customer-facing reports, badges, invoices, receipts. In this particular case, we have an order confirmation. All of the standard customer-facing reports, as I mentioned, are built using Nimble Create. You can use them like this right out of the box, edit them slightly to make them your own, or even build your own unique ones entirely from scratch. This is right here, we have a membership renewal reminder with a quick link directly to pay online. Our goal with all this was to make your customer-facing reports and emails just as awesome and just as easy to use as the standard Salesforce list views. Let's see here. And our e-commerce is also a differentiator within the AMS world. It is unique. We have some really cool and innovative features that I don't have time to get into today, but needless to say, it really helps your association elevate the member online experience. Our e-commerce is built using Salesforce's Lightning Community Platform, which means you have beautiful e-commerce functionality that's still available at scale. In this example, one of our clients, Massachusetts Dental Society, created a microsite for their big annual meeting. This site is complementary to their overall website look and feel, but still unique to this particular event's branding. All these microsites can be configured to have a subset of pre-filtered product offerings that, again, are complementary to the mission and goal of this particular site. I'll have Rob drop a case study in the chat, a little bit more about Massachusetts Dental Society themselves. Now, when you look at the e-commerce elements for Nimble AMS, we put the customer first, which is your members and your constituents. We wanted to make it as easy as possible for them to make purchases. They all say the same thing. We want an Amazon-like experience. So here in Nimble AMS, that's what you get. You don't have to enter your credit card or ACH information at every checkout. All your payment methods are stored with your account. This carries across the main site or any microsites. And of course, it's all safe and fully PCI compliant. We're not storing any of that information in Nimble AMS. We're only storing the token from the payment gateway itself. But it doesn't stop there. We also have options for your members to schedule when the payment will be processed if you want to pay for something on the same day that you get paid. It's all further enhanced beyond that with automatic renewals and installment payments for things like recurring memberships. Associations can then sell higher priced products like exhibit booths or premium level memberships and give the members the opportunity to pay over time. We've streamlined the way to make a payment. Why we created, I mentioned that Express Pay earlier. Any order has a balance, and that can be a full accounting-based accrual order as well, or a pro forma order, gets a unique payment URL. That URL provides a dedicated and simple online page to pay for that specific bill. Let's see here, snapshot of it here. Remember that Nimble Create membership renewal form from earlier? That link brings you right here to this unique payment page. A lot of our members don't pay things themselves. They'll forward it to their accounting department. If that member wanted to log in and use saved payment methods, they could, but the accounting department could go right to this page and pay off this specific invoice as a guest. Super easy, removing all the barriers to receiving payments. I think got 2 minutes left. Gonna go even bolder, talk about artificial intelligence. Wouldn't you like to be able to predict the future? We've heard some folks talk about it today. Wouldn't it be nice if your AMS could use all the historical data to predict that? Like which of your members are at risk of not renewing, who are high quality candidates for a certification program, or in this example, which of the annual meeting registrations may not show up. With Einstein's prediction builder in Salesforce, you can do just that. Right here, point and click AI tool, make predictions of any of the data in your AMS. The wizard brings you through the process, but it doesn't stop there. It can actually give you a report card on the prediction's quality based off of how you built it. And that gives you the opportunity or suggestions to refine it as needed. Nimble AMS is the first AMS with pre-built predictions. Salesforce Prediction Builder, a wonderful tool to help you in there. Rob, do you want to take us home? Excuse me.
Absolutely. So, we can't really talk about AI and Nimble AMS without talking about the Marine Corps Association and Foundation. They were one of the first organizations to pilot this new functionality from both Salesforce and Nimble AMS. With the membership retention prediction, they wanted to see which members were at risk of not renewing. And with that predictive insight, they were able to save over 25% of those at-risk members and convert them into a renewal. Thus, they retained members by the thousands. That is ROI. We also have a case study that I just threw in the chat, so you can read a little bit more about how the Marine Corps Association and Foundation embraced AI and their success. And with that, thank you very much for taking the time to join us today. We hope what you saw today is that trailblazing associations challenge the status quo with Nimble AMS, the most trusted AMS built on Salesforce to increase retention, drive meaningful engagement, and lower your total cost of ownership. Collier and I would both look forward to giving you a deeper dive of Nimble AMS in the future, and these QR codes are our LinkedIn profiles, so feel free to hit us up. Kevin?
Great. Thanks, Rob. Thanks, Collier. Well, let's get a question asked earlier. Is there a sweet spot in terms of organization size to leverage the Nimble AMS or the power of Salesforce?
Yeah, that's a great question, Kevin. So we work best with organizations that are about 10 staff all the way to thousands of staff because we're able to take advantage of the scale of Salesforce. Some smaller organizations that have complex needs, maybe small medical associations, organizations that require a lot of integrations to create member benefits, things of that nature, benefit from Nimble AMS. But other than that, our customers scale in size. I will share that our kind of sweet spot is probably between 25 and 60 staff, but with Salesforce, sky's the limit.
Great. Thank you very much. And again, if anyone has questions, you can add them to the chat or send them directly to Rob, and I know he'll get back to you with an answer.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. Kevin, love your events.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for all your support.
And thanks for keeping it upbeat at the end of a long program today. We appreciate that.
I knew you guys were drinking lots of coffee there.
Is this cup big enough, guys? Right there, enough coffee?
Yeah, it's great.
Yes. So anyway, wanted to thank everybody, all of our attendees, and especially all of our partners today who presented. You guys did a great job, and I know everyone got some great bits of information, and we have the resources for everyone to follow up. Again, as Sherry mentioned earlier, solutions.orgcommunity.com, our Knowledge Center, as well as our upcoming events. Again, Innovation Summit will be drilling in more on non-dues revenue opportunities, as well as navigating through today's environment. So topics like that we'll be talking about on June 9th. And that'll be an in-person event out in the Chicago area on June 9th. And then again, you'll see some of these folks again live in person in September when we do our annual Solutions Day. So I encourage you to check in with us again on the development of those agendas in September. So again, thank you. Sherry, anything else? Closing remarks?
No, we just appreciate all of your great presentations today. It was everybody loves this kind of quick hit event, so we really appreciate it. And I just put in the chat that we will also be providing the recording. So for those of you that are on, or even for our partners, if you guys want to share the recording out, you'll have that available as well. So we appreciate everybody's time today, and look forward to seeing you all soon.